Why, hello, everybody, and welcome to Two Buddies and a Lot of Conspiracies. Eddie, I know right out the gate you're going to yell at me for not having a sombrero, but you don't realize you're in a courtroom, supposedly. You're in front of Congress here, okay?
We gotta legalize sombreros, and
That's it.
they have to
The
be
wearing,
formal, okay?
the wearing of sombreros are a formal occasion now, just like top hats.
Well, technically, a fedora is something formal, no?
But yeah, but I mean, you're not supposed to wear that inside, especially if. So this, in case anybody doesn't recognize the gentleman that's sitting in between us that we're pointing at. Well, besides his name says Oliver North. Yeah, that's Oliver North. But it's this here is the Iran-Contra scandal. So we're in Congress now, where he was getting grilled about everything, and that's why we're wearing nice suits. That's why Eddie had to remove his sombrero. But yeah,
Against my own will.
yeah, that's it, man. Um, but yeah, I think I like it. The
Can't
one
even wear
thing
a goofy tie or nothing.
you can't wear your silly Santa tie or none of that shit, Eddie.
Yeah.
Okay, you leave that at home. We're
At,
gonna
at least if I didn't
impress.
have a sombrero, like my tie would have been like green, red, and white or something like that. I
A
don't know.
Dia de los Muertos tie or something.
It's like those guys that show up with the
Uh,
Looney Tune tie and stuff like that.
that's it, absolutely. You got fucking Bugs Bunny looking at everybody. But the one thing I noticed though is I can see a cell phone here on the desk, I think, next to Oliver North, which is not accurate as far as the time period for what we know, because it was in the 80s. Um, but yeah, so what? Any questions before we go into the topics that we're going to discuss today?
No,
No. Okay. Good. Good. Good.
I
Good.
think we already addressed the elephant in the room.
A little bit. I know everyone's upset about the sombrero.
So, they're not gonna recognize who that is.
No, no. At least it gave you a nice watch, though, huh?
I know, I know.
I like
I
that.
like that.
I should get a freeze frame
Got all
on that.
fancy now.
Show that little Rolex going. Actually, I don't know. I don't think it's Rolex. It's probably
I
just
don't
nice.
think so, Rolex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
ChatGPT cannot afford a Rolex.
that's it. Absolutely. It doesn't know what it doesn't know what it is.
Doesn't have the rights to it. It knows
No.
that it cannot put it on because it doesn't own the rights.
Dude, it actually could. I mean, it could actually be what it is.
It doesn't want to get sued. Oh,
No,
that's
it's
fucked
like
up,
well,
but
not,
that's
not by
hilarious.
these guys. They got plenty of money in their coffers. They can get some good legal defense, and they could probably do it by giving an attorney a watch. Dude, they probably
Probably.
could. Like I just
Probably.
thought about
Like
that. Yeah,
now just talking out loud about it, like holy shit.
they probably would be like, "Hey, here's a watch. It's a $50,000 watch, but shit, like to them, bleh, nothing."
Yeah.
That's crazy. All right, so going into our topics here. So we are, in fact, oh yeah, nice. Next one we'll be hitting number 40. That's cool. So we got chapters 37, Iran-Contra, and 38, Pope John Paul the First, which we briefly touched on already. Eddie, what do you know about these two topics?
Second one is Pope
Yeah, the 33-day Pope that you've heard of.
and Iran. Right now, it doesn't. I don't have it like fresh in my mind, so
Okay.
really not much. I think. So,
Honestly, Iran-Contra, I briefly heard of in like a few things, but never really explored it. So this was actually kind of interesting to explore because this is pretty bad. It's actually pretty bad what had happened. Um, so then, in as far as what we're going to talk about, so to start off with Iran-Contra, we're going to talk about the what and the why, who's involved. Then the Boland Amendment, we're going to read about that, which is kind of important. Then I got an Info Vid, which you're going to remember him from the Gemstone files, and he may even be in the next one because he's the best video I found about the next one topic that we're going to talk about, which is the Korean Air Flight Korean Airlines 007 flight that was shot down. So you may see him a second time or a third time, but he does a good job. Then we're going to talk about companies and monies. We're going to talk about the trials, then weapons and drugs, which are fun. Then
Those are
Hezbollah.
always fun.
Yeah, right, absolutely. Then we're going to talk about Hezbollah,
America.
America. Hezbollah, and then we go to then there's like a quick little recap outcome video, which is a different guy that is a historian. Which I watched a couple of his things. He's pretty good. I don't mind him the way he does stuff, but he constantly reminds you of how he's a historian. And it's like today, I almost feel like you can just Google search everything and call yourself a historian too. But maybe. But is it's all the bullshit that they teach you in schools. It's all fake shit. None of this is real, guys. Then we transition to John Paul the First, which is our Pope, or was the Pope for a very short time. We're going to talk about kind of who he was, or we're going to just read briefly about who he was. Then the what and the why. Then there's an info vid. Then Mafia ties and P2, which is propaganda due, which we're not going to explore too in depth because there's a whole chapter on propaganda due. Propaganda due, you'll remember from Roberto Calvi. That was the guy that hung himself with the bricks in his
No, no, yeah, oh
pockets.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say,
So,
yeah. You can't forget about the bricks he put on his foot.
dude,
Okay.
that chapter. Once we started looking into it, because at first I'm like, "That's a name. I've never heard this name before. Who cares?" And then when I looked into it, I'm like, "Oh my god, like what the fuck is going on,
And he had. Let's not forget, he had to climb down the bridge
dude?
with bricks,
What
a
a
rope.
what an impressive feat on it in
No, this
itself."
guy, he needed to do like some type of rock climbing or something to have that kind of grip.
He's skilled. He was skilled, Eddie. That's really all that it is.
Oh
Um,
my god.
and then we got monies again. Just because I always like to kind of see what the Vatican's got monies wise, and then we close. So it should be pretty quick. Shouldn't be too bad, and everything. Like the videos aren't too long. We got a 24, 11, and a 20, so it's not too bad, but they're good. You'll like the videos. Any questions before we start looking into the what and the why for? Oh no. Any questions before I read from the book?
No, no.
Okay. So let's start off from good old Johnny Lewis. Iran-Contra scandal. Like Watergate, the Iran-Contra scandal, Iran-Gate, was unambiguously true. A president didn't fall, but he wobbled alarmingly. Worse for succeeding administrations, the lid on the can of the worms, that is U.S. foreign policy, in extremis, was opened, and it was an unforgettable sight. The beginnings of Iran Gate lie in the 1979 Islamic Revolution, which overthrew the pro-Western Shah of Iran. Supporters of Ayatollah Khomeini's regime invaded the U.S. Embassy in Tehran and held staff hostage for a year. The inability of U.S. President Jimmy Carter to secure the hostages release cost him a second term. By the October surprise, conspiracy theory candidate Ronald Reagan did a deal. He sounds like my guy. Did a deal with Tehran that they would delay the hostages' freedom until the presidential election campaign was done so he could win. That was the conspiracy theory.
Of course.
Honestly, wouldn't surprise me. The anti-American militancy of the Khomeini regime, together with its sponsorship of Islamic terrorist outfits like Hezbollah, led Washington, D.C. to implement Operation Staunch, an arms embargo against Iran. Yeah, and then I'll just skip to the end here. Last two chapters. I'm sorry, last two paragraphs at the end. Okay, yeah, bigger, but whatever. Fast forward 2 years on 5 October 1986, a plane piloted by one Eugene Hassenfuss was shot down over Nicaragua while carrying arms to the Contras. Hassenfuss appeared on TV where he publicly announced that his co-workers were CIA operatives. This story coincides almost exactly with Ashira's investigation into U.S. Iranian arms deals. A political A-bomb detonated on 25 November. Reagan's Attorney General, Edwin Meese, admitted that the Contra scandal was connected to the recent Iranian arms scandal. Oliver North had directly channeled profits from the Iran arms deals to the Contras, thereby neatly but illegally bypassing Congress, the United Nations, and everyone else who might disapprove, or the United Nations and everyone else who might disapprove. Reagan, meanwhile, tried to keep it all at arm's length by, on 26 November, setting up the Tower Commission. I didn't look into the Tower Commission, but I'm sure it's all bullshit. Oliver North and his immediate superior, Admiral John Poindexter, the National Security Advisor who had replaced McFarlane, were convicted on multiple accounts of lying and obstruction of justice, but their convictions were overturned on appeal because their testimonies had been used against them despite a grant of immunity. A final 1987 report into the affair. Isn't it funny? It's like ridiculous. The final 1987 report into the affair by Congress failed to answer the key question: how much Reagan knew. Some researchers considered that North's 5 memos sent to the president on the Contras' illegal funding might give a clue. I mean, probably. Then there is the entry.
Probably.
I mean, it sounds about right. Then there is the entry in Reagan's own diary from January 1986. I agreed to sell TOWs, tows, to Iran. William Buckley was
He
killed
was gonna
after
sell
torture
tolls
by
to her.
captors in Iran. Huh?
He was gonna sell tolls.
I know, right? Yeah, TOE. Reagan approved illegal arms deals. Oh, this is alert level. Reagan approved illegal arms deals to Iran, which enabled illegal funding of Contras in Nicaragua. Alert level 10. So this gentleman is on board. He's on board.
He's like so uneasy about this one. His
Like
eyes like
this. Well, I think it's probably this one probably shouldn't even be in the book technically because it was somewhat like explained to the public like what happened and it was this and this. I'm sure there's a million things that are not included and I'm sure there's a million things, but like a cover up. Well, actually I don't know because I wasn't around. Well, I was born late 80s, but I wasn't like there paying attention. So maybe it was a big cover up. um but yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, what you're gonna find out, we're gonna read about it, which is kind of interesting. What I forgot to ask Mr. Eddie is, where was your alert level? Where were you at? Were you an 8.7?
no 8.6. I think.
8.6? Are you sure?
I think so. I really think so.
Am I gonna? Do you really think so? Am I gonna have to go and look?
Probably, but I think it was an 8.6.
Okay, all right. We'll keep you at an 8.6. We'll keep Eddie at 8.6, and then if I find when I do the edit,
Because I remember that.
I know you jumped up 0.1 last time.
Yes, and before that, I didn't jump at all.
No, yeah.
So I think I'm right at 8.6.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't know. I mean, you might jump, maybe. I don't know. These two are going to be kind of interesting ones where you might not even like move. But yeah, any questions before we go into the first bit we're reading?
No.
Okay. So, I know I told you earlier that don't worry, like left and right are about the same. I lied on the first slide. So, what side?
Well, last time I think I was left.
Okay. Would you like to?
I'm pretty sure I was last
Would you like to
because I
switch
think
this
you
time?
tricked me last time.
I did trick
Yeah,
you
yeah.
last
I
time.
like I said, we're just gonna run with the same. I'm pretty much tossing a coin right here. I'm coin flipping.
Hey, you sure are. Okay. So what? So you'd like to go with the right this time?
I think I have to do the right.
Yeah. Okay. I might be
I might be
a big
wrong.
fuck you. We don't know.
Yeah,
But
probably. You reverse psychology my ass last time.
I
I can tell you that
did.
for
I
sure.
totally got you good. Um, so the Iran-Contra scandal was a major U.S. political scandal in the 1980s involving two secret illegal operations by the Reagan administration. Officials sold weapons to Iran to secure the release of American hostages and used the profits to fund right-wing Contra rebels in Nicaragua, directly violating Congress's congressional bans. Okay. The core objective, the Iran connection. The U.S. secretly sold arms to Iran, then an adversary in the Middle East, which hasn't really changed, to help negotiate the release of American hostages held by Hezbollah in Lebanon. The Contra connection. Proceeds from these inflated arms sales were covertly funneled to the Contras, a rebel group fighting to overthrow the socialist the Sandinista government in Nicaragua. The law and the controversy. The operation was highly illegal due to the Boland Amendment, which we'll read about next, or in the next couple. Boland Amendment. These were a series of laws passed by Congress explicitly prohibiting the CIA, the Department of Defense, or any other agency from providing military aid to the Contras. How it unraveled. The discovery in November 1986, a Lebanese magazine broke the news of the covert arms sales to Iran. Let me just say right here, 80 in the 80s, in the late 80s, I think that was the end of this type of journalism around the world. I think that's when it all stopped. Then they all just got super controlled. Um, Shortly after, a cargo plane carrying weapons to the Contras was shot down over Nicaragua, and the surviving crew member exposed the operation. That was the guy we read about. The Hassanfuss. The cover up. To hide the illegal diversion of funds, National Security Council, NSC, officials like Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, that's the gentleman we're sitting next to, and Rear Admiral John Poindexter destroyed critical documents and lied to Congress. Doesn't surprise me. The aftermath. President Ronald Reagan claimed he had no knowledge of the funds being diverted to the Contras, though the extent of his involvement remained a subject of intense debate, like he said in the book, the five memos that were sent. Investigations exposed severe abuse of executive power, led to multiple criminal convictions, though several were overturned on appeal, and raised serious constitutional questions. Hmm,
Well,
interesting.
he didn't know. Okay.
He didn't know. He didn't know nothing. And the funny thing is, the only person, the reason we're pointing at Oliver North is because the only person in the whole United States government that knew about it, that guy. It's like, okay, all right, guys.
Hey, he did it. He didn't. Okay.
He's the only one. He had all the connections, man.
Okay.
Crazy.
Uh, why did the United States sell arms to Iran in the 1980s? The United States sold arms to Iran in the 1980s primarily as part of a covert arms for hostages deal to secure the release of Americans held captive in Lebanon by Hezbollah, an Iranian backed militant group. Additionally, the Reagan administration hopped the sales both bills strategic. Goddamn, I don't know what's wrong.
Well,
I
it's
guess I can't say.
Reagan. You're not reading well today. I don't know what it is. It's
Yeah,
Reagan, and
Reagan
I think you're supposed to
administration
say hoped instead of hopped, but okay.
hoped the sales
Hip hop.
would build strategic ties with Iran and counter Soviet influence in the Middle East. This convert operation, which became known as the Iran-Contra affair, involved the following key elements. Hostage negotiations. Hezbollah militants had kidnapped several Americans in Lebanon. Despite the administration's publicly stated policy of never negotiating with terrorists, officials believe that providing weapons to Iran will grant the U.S. leverage to force the release of hostages.
Mm.
Geopolitical strategy. The U.S. aimed to establish a new, pragmatic relationship with Iran in the midst
It's
of the Iran Iraq War and prevent the country from falling under Soviet influence.
oh,
Diversion of funds. Officials within the National Security Council, NCS, most notably LT Cole
Lieutenant
Oliver
Colonel.
North,
Lieutenant Colonel, yeah.
secretly diverted a portion of the profits from these illegal Iranian arms sales to fund the contracts. The Contras, a rebel group fighting the Sandinista government in
Sandinista, yeah.
Nicaragua.
That's Espanol. You should know.
I didn't know that it was Nicaragua.
Sí, sí, muy
Congressional
bien.
bans. This funding was done in direct violation of the Boland Amendment, a series of U.S. laws passed by Congress that prohibited the government from providing military aid to the Contras. They would have thought
You know, it's kind of
that
crazy, right?
he was getting money from it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah. Like, it's like a big joke. It's a big fucking
Of
joke how
course.
much money is just blown and all this kinds of shit. Um, but yeah, any questions for the next thing?
No.
Okay.
Like, who would
And
have thought that somebody was gonna bet? Ah ha ha! I knew you fucking.
that's what I learned a long time ago. On the first page, you show them the bad, and then you flip it for the second page and the rest of
And
them. So
then you just
now
fuck him.
he's fucked. He's fucked now. The rest of them are all really long, and I have like a paragraph to read. It's great.
Oh my god.
It's great. In your face, Eddie. In your face. I just feel you need more reading practice. That's what it
Oh my
is.
god, it's hilarious.
So, who was involved in Iran-Contra affair? Right. So here's the who. The Iran
Oh god.
Contra affair involved top officials in the Reagan administration who secretly sold weapons to Iran to secure the release of American hostages and divert the profits to fund right wing Contra rebels in Nicaragua. I'm sure it wasn't all the money gone to these kids, but whatever. This covert network circumvented congressional bans and violated official U.S. policy. That's from Britannica, which is funny. Key figures involved in the scandal include Ronald Reagan, U.S. president, who authorized the arms for hostages deals, but officially claimed ignorance of the illegal diversion of funds to the Contras. Who knows? Then Oliver North, a Marine lieutenant colonel and National Security Council aide who served as the primary operator, managing the secret weapon sales and the network that funneled profits to the Contras. John Poindexter, Vice Admiral and National Security Advisor to Reagan, who approved the operations and intentionally shielded the president from the details. And that probably happened. Robert McFarlane, or at least somewhat happened. Robert McFarlane, National Security Advisor who initiated the arms for hostage negotiations. William Casey, Director of Central Intelligence Agency, who actively supported and facilitated the covert operations. Richard Secord, a retired U.S. Air Force general who, alongside Iranian arms dealer Manucher Gorbenafar, sure, helped facilitate the weapon
Yes, yes.
transfers. Yeah, it's close. George H.W. Bush, U.S. Vice President at the time, whose level of awareness was highly debated, he later issued several pardons to key figures in the aftermath of the investigation. Oh, good for him. The scandal broke. Yeah, so it's like you're gonna when we get done with this, you're gonna be like, oh, so it's a big club. The scandal broke in 1986, leading to multiple congressional investigations, criminal convictions, and presidential pardons. You can explore the Iran-Contra affair defined by Britannica. Why? Why? Why can't it be defined by America? Well, whatever. Or read the National Security Archive on Iran-Contra for a detailed breakdown of the key players and declassified documents. It's funny. They show a YouTube video at the end there, but okay, go ahead.
I was gonna. Who were the Contras, and did they succeed? The
That's a good
Contras
question.
short
Yeah.
for the Contras short for Contra
Good.
Revolutionarios.
Yeah. Good luck, bro.
Uh, were a coalition of
Revolutionarios.
right wing rebel groups supported by the U.S. government that fought a guerrilla war against Nicaragua's leftist Sandinista government during the 1980s. Who they were. Origins. The movement formed shortly after the 1979 Nicaraguan Revolution. The core of the movement consisted of former members of the National Guard from the deposed
Deposed.
Somoza
Yeah.
Somoza dictatorship,
I was saying,
joined
this is
later
all
by
Spanish now. You should know Spanish on this side.
peasants and delusional former Sandinistas. I guess that's the last name.
uh,
Ideology. They were broadly united by their opposition to the Marxist
Marxist, yeah.
oriented Sandinistas
So it's
junta.
communist. Marxist is
This is
communist.
this is like very confusing because it's
It's
English, Spanish. They're just throwing curveballs at me like rapid
try,
fire.
trying to get you to think on your feet, brother. That's what it is.
Though they had varying political aims. U.S. involvement. The CIA, of course,
Eh,
heavily funded, trained, and armed the rebels.
hmm
They never get involved in these things. What are you talking
Dude,
about?
like that's the joke
Uh,
of it all. Like, take a look at how many groups the CIA have done that exact sentence to.
yeah,
Heavily
no,
funded, trained, and armed. Like, oh my God, around the world? Oh my God.
oh my god.
Or lots of countries, yes.
Yes. The CIA heavily funded, trained, and armed the rebels. When the U.S. Congress banned directly funding in the 1980s via the Boland
Boland
Amendment,
Amendment.
the Reagan administration secretly raised money by illegally selling arms to Iran.
Isn't that funny? Like,
Oh
like
my
you
god.
guys can't do this anymore. Okay, fine. We'll fucking figure another
There's some
way.
illegal stuff.
Yeah.
Don't break the law to
It's
make it
like
happen.
telling a 2 year or a 5 year old that he can't have that toy and he just cries and does it anyway, just steals it or something. It's
Oh
like,
my
okay,
god.
all right.
Illegally selling arms to Iran, leading to the infamous Iran-Contra affair controversy. While promoted by the U.S. as freedom fighters,
All day, baby. Of
the
course. In the
Contras.
US, you have to. They're all freedom fighters, okay? Because there's an
Oh my god, I
oppressive
can't. I'm
regime,
sorry, I can't
even
keep a
though
serious
these are
face.
the communists. But we want them, they are the freedom fighters, even though they're communists. But okay, all right, go for it, guys. Good luck.
I can't keep a straight face
It's a
most of the.
joke. The whole thing, dude, we're not even done yet. We just started.
The Contras were universally condemned by human rights groups for
Yeah.
systematic brutality, including targeting civilians, torture, and drug trafficking. There were, oh my god, it just keeps
Yeah,
on
they
going.
sound like the good guys, huh?
Yeah, of course. Uh-huh. All right, good question. Did they succeed? Military? No. The Contras failed
Yeah, I like
to
that.
capture the capital, topple the Sandinista government, or secure broad political support among the Nicaraguan um,
Peasantry.
the century.
They're
Po
peasants,
po
yeah.
Politically, yes. While they did not achieve a direct military victory, their unraveling guerrilla uh, insurgency and economic sabotage severely destabilized the country.
Hmm.
This forced the Sandinista government to the negotiation table. The outcome: the decade long civil war culminated in peace agreements and heavily supervised democratic elections in 1990. The Sandinistas were defeated at the
Ballot
ballot
box,
box
yeah.
by an opposition coalition, officially bringing an end to the conflict and disbanding the Contras as a military force.
Yeah, right. I doubt that, but yeah. Like,
Took them 10 years, too, by the way.
it
God
did.
damn.
10 years of destroying the country. Just
Uh, illegally trafficking arms, drugs.
right.
For
Yeah. But these are the good guys. These are the freedom fighters, guys. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's
So,
so fucking awesome.
just as an FYI, when anybody ever hears the news talk about another country's freedom fighters, think of this. Because they targeted civilians, tortured, and did drug trafficking to fund their war, and probably more that they're not telling you about on Google AI.
There's more, like, he can possibly do more than that. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, yeah. What about human trafficking? But yeah, um, any other things you got before we go to the next slide?
No.
Okay. See, I told you it's not that bad. It's not that bad, Eddie. It's all okay. I could have put this all on the right and then just had nothing on the left.
Oh, that'd be fucked up.
I was literally thinking
That's a
about
good
doing
idea
that.
for the
just,
just just
just to fuck with you, yeah.
just
Oh
just have
no,
an image on the
there's nothing on the left. What happened? It's
Oh my
all
god, you
you.
just put an image on the left side and it's just all on the right. Oh, that'd be fucking
That's it.
funny.
Oh man.
Oh,
Well,
that's funny.
sounds like you'll be on the left next time. Maybe I'll do that for the next one. But this here is the Boland Amendment. So the Boland Amendment refers to a series of three U.S. legislative amendments passed between 1982 and 1984. It was designed to restrict the Reagan administration from providing military aid or CIA support to the Contras. Like, stop it. They're bad Marxists. They're communists, guys. What are you doing? A right wing rebel group seeking to overthrow the left wing Sandinista government in Nicaragua. You know, it's funny. They always call them a right wing, right wing, right wing, but they never mention the Marxist stuff. So I'm like, okay. Named after its sponsor, Representative Edward P. Boland, Democrat of Massachusetts, the amendment became the focal point of the 1980s Iran-Contra affair. Key iterations of the amendment: Boland 1. Wait, is there no Boland 3? No, I guess not. Okay. Boland 1, 1982, passed in, it said three up there, three U.S. legislative amendments, but it only gives you two. So, whatever. Good job, Google AI. Boland 1, 1982, passed in December 1982. This prohibited the CIA and the Department of Defense from using federal funds to overthrow the Nicaraguan government. However, the Reagan administration exploited loopholes in this version, interpreting it as applying strictly to intelligence agencies rather than the National Security Council, and continued supporting the Contras. It's like, oh, well, you hire some lawyers and you go, well, what didn't they mention? Okay, well, we'll do this then. Boland 2, 1984, passed in October of 1984. This was the strictest version. It explicitly banned all U.S. government agencies, including the NSC, from providing military or paramilitary support, equipment, or training directly or indirectly to the Contras. That's from the DOJ.
The Iran-Contra affair. Despite the strict limitations of the 1984 amendment, officials within the Reagan administration, including Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, secretly continued to fund the Contras.
Yeah, buddy.
They did this by soliciting money from foreign countries like Saudi Arabia, and most notably by covertly selling weapons to Iran and diverting the profits to the Contras. When these convert operations were exposed in the late 1986, it sparked the Iran-Contra scandal, widely considered the biggest constitutional crisis in the U.S. since
Yeah.
Watergate.
Yeah.
Broader context. The amendments reflect the deep partisan
Partisan, yeah.
and constitutional divisions during the 1980s, Cold War era. Congress intended to use its constitutional power of the purse to control foreign policy. Um, what does it say?
Whereas,
Purse?
whereas,
The the Reagan administration argued these restrictions unconstitutionally infringed upon the president's authority to conduct foreign affairs and protect U.S. national security.
yeah.
You want me to read the next thing? It says for a
Read the
deeper dive
tagline,
into
yeah. For a deeper dive into the legislative history and hearings,
history
you
of
can explore the Brown University Iran-Contra archives. Yeah, you don't need to read that bullshit.
yeah,
But
for 1 second I was like, you fucked up. You
nah,
keep
sometimes
reading.
I have those on a few of them just to make it look longer and to make you read more. Um, but
Okay.
the that's it. But yeah, so that's the Boland Amendment, which literally I love that they put it out first and we're like, hey guys, this is it. Like you can't do it. And they're like, okay, great. And they're like, oh, you didn't mean it was just intelligence assets? Oh, so we can still do it? And they're like, motherfuckers, no. It's like, then they passed the second one. And 2 years later, like, you're still doing it. Please stop now. This is on us. We all said you cannot do this. And then they're like, okay, we stopped doing it. Oliver, keep going. It's like, all right. It's so fucking ridiculous, man.
So you mean I can't do this?
Ah. Oh, wild. It is just fucking wild.
Oh, that's awesome.
Any more questions you got before the next thing?
No,
Okay.
this is funny.
The good news is we got a video to watch, so we can kind of chill for a second. This here is the. It's a great. This is the guy. Like I said, once you hear his voice, and I think you can see him in the bottom left corner. But once you hear his voice, you'll be like, oh yeah, that guy. I remember him. Um, he reads like all the books and goes through. He's gone through a handful of conspiracies. He's only had a YouTube channel for I think for like a couple of years now. It hasn't, and he doesn't have like too many videos because I think he does a lot of research before he puts a video out. Whereas like me and you like to shoot from the hip. But
The
we do. But
way it should be, you know? Like,
honestly, some of the shit you should just shoot from the hip and kind of discuss it as is, like and then further expand into your topic later on. Start with a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of info, boom, and then deep dive. If you want to go into shit, deep dive, and you'll see some crazy ass shit about this. But this one here is like it's 55 minutes, but I trimmed it to 24. And I think I stopped it at a pretty good spot because I had it for like 34 minutes and I was listening. I was like, oh man, this is good, but fuck, I don't want to make it too long. So, are you ready for this Iran-Contra totally insane video?
yeah.
Okay, good. Good. Here we go.
Be a video about the totally insane story of Iran Contra. It's just a wild tale
You remember
from the
him, yeah?
1980s. Iran Contra is interesting because just the official story is off the charts crazy. Just that, if you just take it at face value and look at the official story that was covered in like newspapers and magazines and whatnot,
It is
that's a
nuts.
crazy story. But what's interesting about Iran Contra is there have been a ton of investigators and whistleblowers and people who were involved in this, like insiders, who've come out over the years to kind of give the true story of what was really happening here behind the scenes. Because the behind the scenes story of what was going on with this Iran Contra scandal is 500 trillion times crazier than the official story. So we'll just kind of spend the first part of this video ripping through the official story real quick and kind of talking about how crazy that was. And then in the second part, we'll really get into like what some insiders and investigators and people like that have uncovered, like the true story of what was going on. And that's really fascinating. And the whole official story of Iran-Contra started in 1985 when there was this terrorist group in the Middle East and they took a group of American citizens hostage. And this terrorist group kind of had like ties to Iran. And so there was a group in the US government who started selling missiles and really heavy duty like weaponry and equipment to Iran in the hopes that Iran would convince this terrorist group to release the US hostages. And this group in the US government who was selling these missiles to Iran, they did this without getting congressional approval or telling anyone. They were doing it totally in secret. And they were also marking this equipment up like by the millions. They were making quite a bit of money. And
Which is
this
insane.
group in the US government, what they did with that money was they funneled it down to this group in Nicaragua who were referred to as the Contras. They were trying to overthrow the Nicaraguan government. And this group in the United States government didn't like the Nicaraguan government. So they were funding and supporting and supplying weapons and guns and training and a whole bunch of things to these Contras in Nicaragua in hopes that they would overthrow the Nicaraguan government. Again, they didn't tell anyone or get any sort of approval to send all this equipment down to these Contra fighters. And the reason this was a big deal was because a few years earlier, this thing called the Boland Amendment was passed that strictly prohibited any sort of aid or support for these Contra fighters in Nicaragua. So, what these people in the government were doing was highly, highly illegal. And this whole thing went on for almost 2 years, this whole arrangement. And the only reason it got exposed was this guy, Eugene Hassenfuss. He was like he was part of the crew, one of the crews who delivered like weapons and things like that down to the Contras. The plane he was on got shot down and he was taken as prisoner. He was taken as a prisoner by the Nicaraguan government. While he was a prisoner, he confessed everything and told them the whole story of, this group in the United States government supporting the Contras and giving them all this weaponry and all this equipment. And the plane that he was shot down on at one point belonged to Barry Seal. And we'll talk about Barry Seal, quite a bit throughout this video. He's considered basically the biggest drug smuggler in the history of the United States of America, just brought in billions upon billions of dollars worth of drugs into the U.S. And at one point, Barry Seal owned the plane that Eugene Hassenfuss was riding in when he was shot down. But anyway, Eugene Hassenfuss told the whole story. The U.S. media got wind of it, started covering it. Initially, the first thing that happened was the Attorney General Ed Meese. He looked into it, and according to his investigation, the only person who knew about this whole arrangement was this guy, Oliver North, who we'll talk about, who kind of became the face of Iran-Contra. But initially, the attorney general, the top cop in the land, did this big investigation and claimed, oh, it was just Oliver North. He's the only one who knew about this. He even has this quote here that's like kind of
Only
funny
guy.
as you learn just how big this thing was. Edme said the only person in the United States government that knew precisely about this, the only person, was Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North. And then they asked him about the CIA director, Bill Casey, who it eventually came out that he was majorly involved. They asked him, what about CIA director Casey? And he's just like, no, none of us knew. No one was involved.
That's just
But
me,
anyway,
man.
it turned out that a lot of people were involved, and this thing turned into a massive, massive scandal, probably the biggest scandal since Watergate, and maybe even bigger. And it was just everywhere throughout late 1986, 1987. I mean, it was just constantly on the news. I mean, this is how big it was. This is like when there were hearings about this. This is what the TV guide looked like. It was just on every channel for 4, 5, 6 hours a day. You can actually find all the videos from the hearings if you search the Internet Archive. And I mean, this just kind of shows you how big it was. There's like 50 some videos. Each video is like 5, 6 hours long. So, I mean, there's just a massive amount. This thing just dragged on
They
forever.
don't do that shit
And there
anymore.
were so many powerful people who were involved in this. It was almost like a who's who of the CIA. Many of these people who were kind of considered like the main players here, a lot of them were CIA. A lot of them were really, really high up in Ronald Reagan's administration as well. And then Oliver North here, he kind of became like the face of Iran-Contra. He was in the Navy. He was a former Marine, and he worked as an aide for the National Security Council. And kind of depending on who you talk to, he was either the main orchestrator, mastermind behind this whole thing, or a lot of people thought he was just kind of like the fall guy. He was the one taking one for the team. So, a lot of other very, very powerful people who
Sure, it
were
was the
involved
fall
didn't get
guy
in
one.
trouble. Most likely, there's way more to Oliver North's story, and he was much more powerful than was led on. This article here talks about how he met with the director of the CIA, Bill Casey. He met with him multiple times a week. So, in order to be powerful enough to meet with the director of the CIA multiple times a week, you got, some serious power. But one of the like kind of real controversies of the hearings is Oliver North talked about how as this whole thing was kind of falling apart and was getting revealed, he just went on this massive, what was described as a shredding party, where he just started shredding all these documents. And he did this even as like investigators were in his, like investigators who were, gathering evidence about Iran-Contra and trying to figure out what exactly it was. He did this as he was like shredding all these documents as these investigators were in his office right next to him during the early parts of this investigation. And then his secretary, Fawn Hall, she was also involved in this shredding party, and she was kind of like considered one of like the, I guess like this quote unquote celebrities from this hearing. She was this really pretty
She is pretty.
blonde girl, and she kind of talked about how she had participated with Oliver North in this shredding party. She claimed at one point one of the stacks of documents they destroyed was up to 2 feet high. So that was, again, one of the main kind of mysteries was, well, what was so important that they had to just cover up and destroy so many documents? I mean, a stack of papers 2 feet high is a lot of information. So what exactly was in that stack of documents? What was, being covered up? And this Fawn Hall even claims she like smuggled documents out of Oliver North's out of his office, like by stuffing them down her shirt and into her boots. So clearly they were covering up something pretty explosive. And we'll kind of get into, in a little bit what that could have been. But she wasn't really like grilled or, they really, all the people interviewing her during the hearings just kind of handled her with kid
This is
gloves.
interesting.
This quote was kind of funny, I thought. This guy who, an anonymous person involved in the hearing, said, "I don't want to say this for the record because it will be interpreted as being sexist, but in law school, and most of us up there are lawyers, it's beaten into you to be careful when a woman is a witness. You never want her to cry in front of a jury. Fawn Hall is the witness, and the American people are the jury." So again, she really wasn't like grilled or anything like that about what was actually in this 2 foot tall stack of documents that they went on this shredding party to destroy. One interesting rumor that's kind of persisted over the years is that the reason Oliver North wanted to, destroy all these documents was because he wanted to remove any reference or any mention of Barry Seal. And again, Barry Seal is considered the biggest drug smuggler in the history of the USA. We will, talk about him a bit more, but that's always been kind of allegedly why he shredded so many documents was he wanted to remove any sort of mention of Barry Seal in from his files. And one of the fascinating things about just the hearings and the official story is there were a lot of people, a lot of very powerful people who died suspiciously, either right before or right after or even during the hearings. So Bill Casey, the director of the CIA, who was majorly involved in this, he died on May 6, 1987, and these Iran-Contra hearings started on May 5th, 1987. So he died 1 day into the hearings. And he died of cancer, brain cancer. He
Sure.
had this really fast-acting cancer. And
Of course.
pretty convenient for a lot of people because it was claimed like this Bill Casey, this CIA director, he's the one who kind of knew more than anyone about what exactly was going on here. And he was the one who kind of knew all the secrets. And the fact that he died one day into the hearing was, very convenient for a lot of these people. And then this guy, Stephen Carr, he was kind of like considered like a key player too. He had gone to Nicaragua and trained Contras on the behalf of this group in the U.S. government. And he was considered that he was going to be he was kind of considered to be one of the key witnesses in the whole thing. And he died right before the hearing started, December 6th. This is December 16th, 1986. Again, it was a possible drug overdose, but it's a pretty mysterious death. And then this guy, Robert McFarland, he was the head of the National Security Council, and he's the guy who kind of started this whole thing because he was the one who oversaw the initial sale of missiles to Iran to, supposedly free these U.S. hostages. He's the guy who oversaw that right from the start. So that was kind of like the event that started it all. And he was the one who kind of like oversaw that whole thing. Interestingly, he just quit in December of 1985. So December of 1985 was kind of like right during the heart of when this whole Iran-Contra thing was going on. And then this Bud McFarlane guy, who was, extremely high up, he just quit his job. And, it was kind of considered very strange because it was very abrupt. And again, at the time, this whole Iran-Contra thing was still very secret. So you do wonder if he, was getting cold feet or he was worried that something would be revealed. But again, in December 1985, he just quit. And then during the hearings, he attempted suicide, quote unquote, just 2 hours before he was scheduled to testify in the hearings.
Boy.
And so that's, pretty interesting because this guy, along with Bill Casey, probably knew more than nearly anyone about what had happened. And the fact that he, quote unquote, attempted suicide 2 hours before he was scheduled to testify is pretty interesting. He did not die though, but it's still definitely curious timing. And then this guy, Amaram Nir is his name. He was heavily involved in this as well. He was considered one of the major players because the weapons that were sold kind of were like routed through Israel. And he was kind of like the guy for Israel who's kind of orchestrating and handling this whole thing. And kind of the big controversy with him is that he supposedly had briefed George H.W. Bush about everything that was going on and how this would work. And that was a big deal because George Bush always denied that he knew anything about this and always denied that he was involved in any way. And this guy, if it was true indeed that he had, briefed George Bush about this, he could have totally contradicted that. And, what's very curious timing is that he died in 1988, just as George Bush was running for president, running in the 1988 election. And kind of one of the hot, talking points of the 1988 election was, well, did George Bush know about this whole Iran? Because Iran-Contra was still fresh in everyone's mind. And so one of the main talking points was if George Bush actually did know about it, or if he didn't, or was he just lying to everyone?
This guy's son name was Nimrod.
Who supposedly briefed George Bush, and he could have totally contradicted that. And then he died in a plane crash, just right in 1988. His son did a massive investigation into the plane crash years later, and he was convinced that the U.S. government was behind,
of course,
behind the crash. So those were kind of like some of the main players who died in this. There were so many other people who died, so many other people who died. We'll kind of get into, some of these other deaths that happened in a bit, but just know that, the people we've talked about were kind of some of the really key main players who died right during the hearings, but there's way more deaths that were going on here. And as crazy as like the deaths were and all these other secrets that came out, what really made the Iran-Contra hearings crazy was it revealed the existence of this group, the Enterprise. And you always
Not the
kind of hear
Star Trek
terms like
one.
the deep state or the shadow government. And that's exactly what the Enterprise was. It was this group of very powerful people in the US government who held a ton of power and who were just kind of doing whatever they wanted to do. They
Sounds
were the
like it.
ones who were behind, the weapon sales to Iran. They were the ones who were, supporting the Contras with money. They were also up to a lot of other things. And these
Hmm.
Iran-Contra hearings exposed this and exposed the people who were involved in this. This senator from Hawaii named Daniel Inouye, this is how he described the enterprise during the hearings. He said the enterprise was a shadowy government with its own air force, its own navy, its own fundraising mechanism, and the ability to pursue its own ideas of the national interest, free from all checks and balances,
Hmm.
and free from the law itself. And that's what was really fascinating about this whole, disclosure during the Iran-Contra hearings was not just that this enterprise existed, but just how big it was. They had their own aircraft, they had their own jets, they had their own, soldiers, they had their own spies, their own guns, communications equipment. They had all this stuff. So this wasn't just like a group of, powerful people like this who were sitting in a room and scheming together. I mean, this was a major,
The big
major
operation.
operation. And these whole Iran Contra hearings, exposed the group, exposed this enterprise group. But when it was all said and done, this is basically what, the official story boiled down to. And this is what was found in the hearings is that this group, the enterprise, sold like $40 million worth of weapons to Iran. And then they funneled that money down to the Contras in Nicaragua and supported them. And, according to the official story, that's all that happened. There was nothing more to it than that.
Don't look over
But
here.
there was so much going on here, so much more going on here. This official story that we just kind of ripped through, that is just nothing at all compared to the real, like the behind the scenes story that's been revealed by a lot of insiders and a lot of journalists and researchers. This official story is just the tip of the iceberg because this like behind the scenes story just blows it out of the freaking water. And really, what so many people have, talked about over the years and have covered is that the main thing that was going on here in Iran Contra was drugs. Drugs
Yeah.
were just everywhere. They were at the heart of all these transactions. This official story about selling weapons to Iran and then providing weapons to the Contras. That was just a smokescreen. That was nothing. That was just kind of like a way to let a few details trickle out, but keep the really major stuff secret. Um, so this guy Al Martin, I mean, just to give you an idea of just how massive this is and what we'll be talking about, this guy Al Martin would claimed he was very heavily involved in this. He's was involved in the military and everything. He claims 400 people were murdered once this whole thing kind of fell apart and they were trying to like tie up all their loose ends.
Nah.
So he described himself. He said he was like a fourth level player, just below George Bush and Jeb Bush, George W. Bush and Jeb Bush.
The
And this
Suns.
is how Iran Contra, the real story of Iran Contra, is described in his book. So he says Iran Contra is a euphemism for the outrageous fraud perpetuated by government criminals for profit and control. Offhandedly, this inaccurate term entered history as shorthand for the public scandals of illicit arms sales to Iran, coupled with illicit weapon sales to Nicaragua. The real story, however, is much more complex. When George Bush, Bill Casey, and Oliver North initiated their plan of government sanctioned fraud and drug smuggling, they envisioned using 500 men to raise $35 billion. When Iran Contra finally fell apart, they ended up using about 5,000 operatives and making over $350 billion in covert revenue.
They did it.
So again, this whole thing, according to Al Martin and a lot of other insiders have echoed this. This thing was off the charts massive, $350 billion in covert revenue. And again, Al Martin claimed George Bush George H.W. Bush was the guy who kind of was orchestrating and running this show. George Bush has this quote, allegedly. There's some debate on if this is like an actual legit quote, but allegedly he said to a reporter, he said, if the people knew, he mentioned this at a party, just kind of in an offhand way one time, and a few people overheard it. And he said, if the people knew what we had done, they would chase us down the street and lynch us.
That's what
And,
should happen to
you
the
see this
government right
quote a
now.
lot, and he's talking about Iran-Contra in this quote, allegedly. And there are a lot of other people who've kind of identified George Bush as being one of the major players in this whole drug scheme. Like Barry Seal, for instance, supposedly he threatened George Bush just 10 days before Barry Seal was killed. Barry Seal was killed in a shootout in 1986, and we'll kind of talk about his death a little later on. But 10 days before he was gunned down, he supposedly threatened to expose the whole gun running drug scheme. He threatened George Bush that he would, expose this. And then 10 days later, Barry Seal was dead. Um, Also, supposedly, he had like these boxes of documents that he carried with him everywhere. And when he was gunned down in his car, they were in his truck. And a few officers saw like what was kind of in these containers and what was contained in these documents. And they said it was just mind blowing, like very, very compelling information. Allegedly, one of the rumors that's always persisted over the years is allegedly Barry Seal had videotape of a drug bust that had netted George W. Bush and Jeb Bush. And so he had, supposedly at least had this videotape of, the two Bush brothers getting busted by the DEA. And he always carried that with him. It was kind of like a
Smart.
dead man's switch. And another really fascinating thing about George Bush, and it's very, very suspicious as well, is that in January of 1982, this special task force was formed to combat the growing problem of drugs being imported through South Florida. And George Bush, who was
Scarface,
the vice
baby.
president at the time, George Bush was named to head up this whole task force. So again, George Bush, who many people have claimed was one of, if not the main person behind this whole drug smuggling ring. Um, George Bush was named as the head of this task force that was supposedly cracking down on, importing drugs. And, it's kind of funny. Like this article here says the Bush League is what this, task force was referred to. The Bush League could be the best thing to happen to South Florida since the invention of air conditioning, because they thought, George Bush was really going to go in there and just start cracking down and really stopping this drug problem. And that did not happen at all. In fact, the opposite thing happened where the drug problem got insanely worse, way more worse than it was before this, task force was formed with George Bush. Most likely what this, little task force was just a way to eliminate some competition or eliminate people who didn't want to work with them. But
Yeah, that's why I made it a little bit longer, because it talked about Barry Seal and the drugs. That's honestly, what do they say whenever the government gets involved in something? It gets worse, right?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I know. Eddie's a big government man.
Whoa, what do you got against them?
What do I have against the government
Yeah,
besides the trillions of dollars we're in debt for things that we didn't want?
they just try to help us, okay?
So they're always here to help. Oh man. Yeah, and
uh,
all the people you vote for actually follow through with what they say in their
of course.
campaigns. None of them are lying to you at all, ever.
No, never.
Ever. They're the best. Um, but the rest of that,
I'm glad you finally see it.
I finally figured it out. Yeah, you're right, Eddie. You're right. We don't need an uprising. But the rest of that is good though. I would recommend, and all links again are going to be in the description, so that way you guys can watch them. And I would recommend following This guy, he's got some good stuff. I like him. He seems to kind of just be no nonsense. Here you go. Here's the facts. Here's what all these books are talking about, and here's what it is. Main reason I made that a little bit longer because it did talk about Barry Seals. Because we're not going to talk about Barry Seal because that's something people should look into. Because he wasn't really like, I guess he was named in a way, but in most of the stuff that I saw as far as with the Iran-Contra stuff, they didn't really name him. So probably because Oliver North did his job and got rid of all the documents. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. Oh, one thing I did learn though is that if I'm going to do a bunch of shady shit, I am going to have an attractive female secretary that is involved as well, so that way when she takes a stand, they won't berate her and make her cry.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You know? Right.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's the way to go, man. All right.
That's hilarious.
Any questions for the next thing?
Nope.
Okay. See, I'm reading more this time. You're welcome.
Okay, like this.
It's a sentence more, and it's actually that bottom piece, so it's actually the same size. So this here is going to be companies and like monies. So what companies profited from Iran-Contra affair? Because that's a valid question, right? The primary companies that profited from the Iran-Contra affair were a web of private offshore shell corporations created by arms dealers Richard Secord and Albert Hakim to secretly conduct the covert operations, which they referred to as the Enterprise. Through these companies, Secord and Hakim generated millions in profits by overcharging Iran for weapons and siphoning the surplus into private accounts. Specific companies and entities that profited include Stanford Technology Trading Group International, STTGI, co-founded by Secord and Hakim. This was the primary corporate entities used to conduct covert financial operations and execute arms deals. Lake Resources, Inc., a Panama-registered Swiss-based corporation entity controlled by Hakim. It was used to store money from the Iranian arms sales and later pleaded guilty to the corporate felony of stealing government property. Oh, so they just stole the weapons. Even better. Energy Resources International, SA. Another key Swiss corporate account used by the enterprise to route and receive millions in illicit arms profits. Southern Air Transport, a cargo airline that received significant contracts to secretly airlift weapons and supplies to the Contras, alongside laundering operations through an offshore shell company called Amalgamated Commercial Enterprises, ACE, baby. Defects, SA, a Portuguese arms supplier from which the enterprise purchased military equipment for the Contras using profits generated from the U.S. arms deals with Iran. Airmock Inc. and Eagle Aviation Services, companies established by retired Air Force officer Richard B. Gadd, who was hired by Secord to manage the secret covert air delivery and supply network for the Contras. To learn more about the corporate network and financial web built by the operatives, review the detailed investigative findings in the Walsh Iran-Contra report. Which is,
I swear
I
to
looked
God,
at that, it's
if you were
crazy.
not gonna read that, I was
I know
gonna
you were
point
going to
it
be
out later.
upset. I know you were going to be like, go back, go back.
I was waiting on it.
I know you.
All right. Where where did the money go from Iran Contra that was stolen?
Yeah.
The diverted fund from the Iran Contra arms sales primarily went to Swiss bank accounts
That's it. Yeah.
controlled by covert
Covert
operations,
operatives,
weapon
baby.
purchase. Oh, sorry.
Spies.
Weapon purchases for the Contras, Contras, sorry, and private kickbacks.
All day.
So the Walsh Iran-Contra report by independent counsel Lawrence E. Walsh tracked the money trail.
Mm-hmm.
Convert weapons and operations. About 17.6 million was spent directly on weapon purchases, supplies, and logical expenses for the
Logistical.
Contra rebels fighting in
Yeah.
Nicaragua. The enterprise accounts, like James said, not the car rental company.
Not Star
Or who
Trek.
knows?
Not Star Trek. Yeah.
Millions more were routed through a private CIA utilized shell network. Again.
Huh. Interesting. Isn't it ridiculous when you get
Oh my god, it's
into
so
the
funny.
weeds of how they work their funds around and shit? It's like, oh my god. I get why they'd have to do it because they're doing it against the law. So it's like you go into this and then this and then this and then this and then this, and then you get your
It's
money
funny
back.
how even Google tells you like, yeah, this is what they found.
This is how you can have your own secret covert operations, guys. Here you go. It's like, oh, thanks, Google.
Step by step too.
That's it.
Uh okay, network run by retired Air Force General Richard Secord and his partner Albert Hakim. Profits and kickbacks.
Mm-hmm.
The arms entrepreneurs reap roughly 4.4 million in personal commissions and profits.
Good for them.
Frozen funds. When the scandal broke in late November 1986, Swiss authorities froze roughly 7.8 million remaining in this enterprise linked to Swiss accounts at the request of the U.S. Justice Department.
And right there, when you stop, what we saw from the video was it was over 350 billion, right? So
Mm-hmm.
who gives a shit about 7.8 million sitting there?
Well, they just gotta see. They gotta show that like they actually did something,
Like,
or they
oh,
confiscated some money.
guys, we're gonna take this little bit. Is that okay? And like, yeah, it's fine. Put it in Google in Wikipedia.
Oh my god, darn it! I lost 7.8 million. It's okay.
Damn. Oh boy.
Uh, the overall financial trail was complicated by
Of
private
course.
donations, and international actors. The Brunei mix-up, a covert of
Covert.
covert, sorry, of 10 million gift solicited by the U.S. State Department from the Sultan of Brunei was accidentally
Oh
deposited.
no.
No,
What happened?
deposited into the wrong Swiss account.
What do you mean? Oh, it went into
I
that
love this.
account?
But that money, look how it says, that money was eventually traced,
Oh no.
investigated, and legally returned to the Sultan.
Oh, at least he got his cash back.
I
That's
love
good.
how they, I love how they have to specify that it was legally returned.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Ridiculous. Like they're the good
Uh,
guys. Don't worry. They're the good guys.
oh
They
my
did it
god,
they did it right.
I can't. Foreign intermediaries.
Intermediaries.
Sorry, I just can't stop laughing.
It's ridiculous.
Fortunes of the inflated arms payment
Hmm.
made by the Iran were retained as broker.
Of course. Of course.
It's like everybody got fucking paid from this.
Everybody
Oh
got
my
paid.
god! It's like
Absolutely.
I love how they just blame one guy, but it's like this
Yeah.
guy was involved, this was involved, this was involved.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh god! All right. Broker commissions or paid to foreign entities acting as middlemen.
Yep.
You can read the declassified historical
Oh, yeah,
findings and
sure.
financial summaries in the CIA. At full,
Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, baby.
Iran-Contra collection. Oh my
Oh,
god.
isn't that fucking wild to even just read on the surface? Like, just looking at this and hearing that, and it's like, oh my god.
Oh, I just love how that, like, even the video, like, they're like, oh, they just want to pinpoint like one dude, and it's just like
Yeah,
a bunch of like, foreign countries, brokers, like
100%. Everybody
assaulting.
knew what was going on there.
Oh my god. Everybody had
Wild.
dips on it. Oh, it's awesome. It's just amazing.
It's fucking wild. It is fucking wild. Oh, any questions for the next
No,
thing?
no,
Okay.
no.
So now we go into talking about the trials, okay? So I know you're excited that you got more to read
Oh
on the
yeah.
right. The joke of the whole thing is that
You did it
actually,
again.
well, the best thing is that I was going over, I was just like doing a quick like
Oh,
once over when I was reading through, and I was like, wait, where's my jail clip? So you're gonna be, don't read it now because you're gonna be excited when you read it later, okay? So don't read it now. Do everything you can to not stare at the bottom right. So I thought I was going to be on the right. This is an FYI. What happened in the trial for Iran-Contra? The Iran-Contra trials resulted in 11 convictions of Reagan administration officials, primarily for lying to Congress, obstruction, and destroying documents. However, virtually all convictions were ultimately overturned on appeal due to technicalities, and President H.W. Bush issued sweeping pardons in December 1992 before the judicial process fully concluded. Does that not sound like it's a big club and you ain't in it?
yeah.
Like the president fucking even goes, no, don't, no. I'm pardoning these guys. The primary legal fallout and trial outcomes for the main figures involved: Oliver North, National Security Council staffer, tried and convicted of 3 felony counts: destroying documents, accepting an illegal gratuity, which is money back, and aiding and abetting the obstruction of Congress. How dare you get in front of Congress in 1989? His convictions were overturned on appeal because his nationally televised congressional testimony tainted the trial, and the case was dismissed. That what? That seems ridiculous. I actually would like to know more about that, but okay. John Poindexter, National Security Advisor, convicted on 5 felony counts of conspiracy, making false statements, and obstructing Congress in 1990. His convictions were also vacated on appeal due to the use of his immunized congressional testimony. Okay? So he's not going to jail. None of those guys are. Robert McFarlane, National Security Advisor, pleaded guilty to 4 misdemeanor counts of withholding information from Congress in 1988 and received probation. Okay, so at least somebody got something. Caspar Weinberger, Secretary of Defense, indicted on charges of lying to Congress and covering up the scandal. He was preemptively pardoned by President George H.W. Bush on Christmas Eve in 1992 before his trial concluded. Other figures: several mid-level officials and private operatives were prosecuted and found guilty of charges ranging from conspiracy to fraud, but only one private contractor served actual prison time. You're going to read that last, so go ahead.
So you want me to read the top part or the bottom part?
The top part, because this here is another question. I didn't put the question up top because I didn't have it in there, but this is: how much did the taxpayer pay for these
Oh.
congressional hearings? Okay.
United States taxpayers did not directly fund the illegal Contra rebel operations, as that was banned by Congress. However, taxpayers did pay an estimated of 37 to 47 million to fund the 6-year independent
Uh-huh.
council investigation led by Lawrence E. Walsh,
Wow.
as well as $562,011 $111
I don't know why
for
they couldn't have just
President
said like 5,700,
yeah,
570,000 or
President
something.
Reagan's personal legal expenses.
Isn't that amazing? So the actor who had lots of money and was president, which gets the most amount of money in our as far as a U.S. official, but yet we paid $562,000 for his personal legal expenses.
Of course.
Just throwing it out there. I thought you had to pay for your own legal representation, but whatever.
Why would he?
Why? Yeah, you're right, Eddie. Why would he? Oh,
The money is there.
that's it. Take it from the people. Fuck them.
The funding of the Contras was financed through a covert
Covert.
mechanism run by White House officials, utilizing the proceeds from illicit arms sales to Iran and donations solicited from foreign countries like Saudi Arabia.
So we didn't pay for their arms, okay? But
No.
in a way, we did. It's good.
Some way, somehow.
Somehow we got charged still for it. Yeah.
Here's a breakdown of the taxpayers' costs and financial operations. Independent counsel investigation.
Yeah.
The official investigation by Lawrence E. Walsh into administration officials spanned several years and ultimately cost taxpayers between $37 million and $47 million.
They got the good lawyers, guys. Is that why? That's why.
You got the best lawyers.
That's it.
Presidential legal fees. In September 1996, a federal appeals court panel ordered taxpayers to pay former President Ronald Reagan $562,111 to cover his defense expenses from the independent counsel investigation. The Enterprise Convert Funds. Between 1985 and 1986, the covert arms sales to Iran generated approximately $48 million, while $12 million was deposited into the U.S. Treasury. Officials diverted an estimated $3.8 million directly to the Nicaraguan Contras. Another $35.8 million was used to finance various secret operations.
Very good. Very good.
Oh, Lord. I can't.
Isn't it just like silly to even fucking read?
Yeah, it was just like
it's like this isn't
like-
real, right? And they're like, no, it is.
like,
And it
really?
happened in the 80s. It happened fucking 40 plus years ago. It's like, oh, okay. We're still trusting our government. Yeah, we are. We're even trusting them more than ever before. It's like, oh, okay. That seems like a mistake.
Oh, God.
Ugh. Wake up, people. Go ahead. Read that last part, which is the best part of the whole thing.
Did anyone go to jail from Iran-Contra?
Right? Simple question.
Yes. One person served the prison sentence. Oh my God. One person served the prison sentence. Private contractor Thomas Kleins.
Poor fucking guy, dude. One guy's not in the club.
Sentenced to 16 months in prison for tax evasion.
Of course, because the government didn't get their portion.
Only for tax evasion.
Because they didn't get their portion from him. That's it. They're like, dude, really? You couldn't give us an extra 50, 100, or 5,000 or whatever it is? Like, what the hell?
Thomas is free.
You're going to prison.
John's free. Nobody, really, you're the only one that didn't get the memo yesterday.
Unfucking real, dude. Unfucking real.
Even Billy didn't fuck up.
Yeah, they all knew their goal. They knew what they were supposed to do. How dare you? How dare you?
Imagine this guy was the intern here or something.
Okay, I'm sure he was.
This was his first day. And
he just showed up and made one transaction in a computer, and they're like, dude,
Oh my god, it's like so funny not to see this happening like that. That's the scenario of this poor guy. Like
it's
he's like the
one
less.
guy.
He's like probably the one that's like less involved in all the shit, but somehow he got fucked.
Yeah, 100%. That's how it works, though. That's absolutely how it works.
And
Who's
also too, he probably got no money out of this.
no, dude? They probably got him for like $500. They threw him in prison for 16 months.
Well, a dozen other administration officials, including Oliver North and John Poindexter, were in the what
Indicted, indicted, and
indicted,
convicted.
convicted. Their convictions were overturned on appeal, or they received
Pardons, baby.
pardons
Yeah.
before serving time. Former President George H.W. Bush issued several high-profile pardons, including one for former Secretary of Defense. Oh my god,
Yep.
the fuck. Casper Weinberger.
Weinberger.
Um, you can read more about the convictions and pardons in the
Man, the bullshit
Iran-Contra
Wikipedia.
affair overview or history.com
Yeah.
Contra summary.
The funniest thing
Oh
about all
my
that
god.
is you have to ask, why did George H.W. Bush hate Thomas Kleins? You
Yeah.
you couldn't give the pardon to the one guy that actually went to prison?
I just think it was like, dude, we got to put somebody in jail, bro. Like, there's just like
That 100%.
they had a
This
round table and
huge
like somebody.
scandal, someone has to fall on it, and they're like, "Well, do you mind if we put him in jail for like a year and almost a half?"
Okay,
And they're like, "No, go
Thomas was
fuck it."
walking in with the fucking coffees, and they're like, "It's you."
Dude, he
Like,
had the old Starbucks from whatever Starbucks was in the 80s, and he was bringing all the drinks in. They're like, Thomas, we need you to do something. We're going to pay you and take care of you afterwards, but we need you to do something. You need to go to prison.
Or they didn't even tell him. They just probably told him like, "Show up at this location at this
Oh,
shop."
that's
Okay.
exactly what happened. Because he was a private contractor. Yeah. So he just showed up.
Mhm.
He showed up. He's like, hey, I'm ready to work today. And they're like, no, you're going to prison. Sorry, dude. I don't
This
know
guy
what.
Thomas needs to. This guy Thomas needs to make a movie.
Dude, he needs a
Uh,
medal for fucking falling on a sword for all these clowns. Oh, my goodness. You know what's weird, though, is like you can actually follow Oliver North today on Twitter, and he's a Republican, and he talks about all this shit, and it's like, motherfucker, what happened? Like, this is a big thing. You shouldn't be talking about anything anymore. You should just go into hiding with all your money you stole. Like, that's.
he's innocent. Okay, nothing was.
You're right.
He was pardoned by the president.
You are correct, sir. You are correct. Even though technically a pardon confirms guilt, but okay, you are correct. Oh man,
Oh god.
what a fucking weird thing, right?
Oh my god. It's amazing.
It's even weirder than we're even discussing too. Honestly, take a few hours and start looking at the Iran-Contra thing, look into Barry Seals, look into all these different things. You're gonna be like, oh my god, this is insane. This is absolutely insane. Uh, any questions before the last thing, which I think is the
No.
video? Okay, I think it's the last thing. Oh no, now we're reading more. I think this is the last. I think this is the last thing for the next video. Oh yeah, on the right side. Eat shit. Um, what weapons were sold to Iran and how did they pay? Good question. In the mid 1980s, during the Iran-Contra affair, the Reagan administration covertly authorized the sale of U.S. weapons to Iran in an attempt to secure the release of American hostages in Lebanon by Iranian-backed groups. Weapons sold. The covert shipments primarily consisted of anti-tank and anti-aircraft missiles, along with critical spare parts to keep aging U.S. supplied military hardware operational. The exact inventory included. Wait a minute. So did they already have a bunch of aging U.S. military hardware? Did they just tell us that? They did, didn't they? But yeah, so okay, good. So they already had U.S. shit before this even happened. So the TOWs, the tube-launched, optically tracked, wire-guided missiles, 2,000 anti-tank missiles, Hawk surface-to-air missiles, 150 anti-aircraft missiles. Which, dude, take a look at how much they cost per missile. It's fucking insane. Spare parts. Essential components for Iranian F-4 Phantom and F-5 Tiger fighter jets, C-130 Hercules transport aircrafts, and M60 Patton tanks. Dude, these guys were armed. Dude, if I had all that in fucking my backyard, I'd be invading countries. How they paid. Direct payments. The Iranian government paid heavily inflated off the books prices for these weapons in cash. The payments were processed through secret foreign bank accounts, often in Switzerland, managed by a covert third-party network known as the Enterprise, which was operated by retired U.S. Air Force General Richard Secord and businessman Albert Hakim. Diversion of funds. While the primary goal was securing hostages, the Reagan administration used the profits generated from the massive markup of the Iranian arms sales to secretly fund the Contras, a right-wing rebel group fighting the socialist government in Nicaragua. A direct violation of U.S. congressional law. You know, it's funny, actually, too, because the Contras said that they were Marxist, right? So that sounds like two socialist groups, because socialism and communism. Well, I guess socialism technically is different than communism, but I guess it's about the same in the outcome. For further historical context on the covert logistics and the broader political scandal, you can read the comprehensive Iran-Contra affair overview provided by Britannica. Again, it's funny that's Britannica, not America, but sure.
Were drugs involved in Iran-Contra?
Yeah, I'm glad you're reading this because I know you like drugs, you big druggie.
What the fuck? I never knew. Yes, extensive evidence uncovered by multiple congressional inquiries and official investigations indicates that narcotics traffickers were involved with the Contra supply network.
Huh.
The documented drug connections occurred primarily because the Contras, a U.S.-backed rebel
That's great.
group fighting the Nicaraguan government in the 1980s, were subject to a strict funding ban by the U.S. Congress, known as a Boland Amendment, to keep the Contras armed. Reagan administration officials and the National Security Council, led by figures like Oliver North, set up a privatized
Privatized, yeah.
convert network. This network was heavily entangled with drug traffickers
Hmm.
who were looking for protection or logistical cover.
Could you imagine a better group if you were a drug trafficker? Could you imagine a better group being the CIA and the NSA and all these different like, oh my god, please. Yes. Let's go, guys.
The nature and extent of the involvement include the Kerry Committee report, a 1988 investigation by the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, led by Senator John Kerry, concluded that senior U.S. officials, including Oliver North, knew about drug trafficking
Of course.
and worked with known drug smugglers to assist the
Of
Contras.
course.
The committee also found that the State Department used U.S. taxpayer
Of
funds
course.
designated for humanitarian assistance to pay companies linked to narcotic trafficking.
Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? They're helping the humans.
Logistical support. Traffickers provided infrastructure such as planes, pilots, and airstrips
Mm-hmm.
to smuggle weapons to the Contras.
Of course.
On return flights, these same planes were often used to smuggle cocaine into the United States.
100%. 100%. Why wouldn't they? You
Oh
go
my
down there, you
god.
drop off the guns, you pick up your drugs, and you come back. Done.
It's a win-win. It's a
That's it.
win-win.
And we'll pay you a little extra.
Oh, I love this.
Boy.
Quotes. Turning a blind eye.
All day.
Consensus. Well, investigations such as those by the CIA Office of the Inspector General
Mm-hmm.
and the Department of Justice ultimately found that the U.S. government did not explicitly authorize
They
or
did. They weren't in
organize drug
charge of it.
smuggling to fund the Contras. They acknowledged that the U.S. intelligence and
Ah.
foreign policy officials tolerated the illegal drug trade. I can't with this shit, man. This is fucking
This is
ridiculous.
Google AI.
Oh, they turned, well, I quote,
Yep.
they quote, turned a blind eye to these activities because the traffickers were hoping to keep the Contra movement alive.
That's it. It's the better, the lesser of two evils. We need the Contras in charge of Nicaragua. Okay. We need the Marxists to be in charge.
Oliver North diaries. Documents declassified from Oliver North's personal notebooks and the National Security Archive contain direct records of calls and discussions linking Contra financing to drug money. You can explore the declassified documents and records of these investigations via the CIA reading room and the U.S. Department of Justice report on the
uh,
CIA Contra controversy.
dude, is that not like the most ridiculous thing you've read in a long
That
time?
is like the fucking cherry on top. I swear to God.
It totally is. It totally is the cherry on top. Oh man, what a fucking weird thing. Oh, any any comments or anything you want to add?
No.
Okay. So next is about Hezbollah. Okay, because Hezbollah, you've probably heard that name before, and we're going to explore it here, which is good. So, did the terrorist group who held hostages in Iran-Contra do better or worse after the event? Right? It's a good question because they probably did better. So Hezbollah, the terrorist group primarily responsible for the hostage taking in Lebanon during the Iran-Contra affair, became significantly more powerful and influential in the decades following the event. Yeah, because they had fucking tank, they had fucking planes, they had fucking missiles. Yeah, of course they were. While they suffered historical military losses and financial constraints, because they probably stopped selling drugs from the U.S., their overall organizational and political trajectory improved dramatically. So they did good anyway. Political hegemony. The group integrated deeply into the Lebanese political system, effectively controlling the country's governance, infrastructure, and alliances. So Hezbollah took over Lebanon. That's insane. Global reach. Backed continuously by Iran, they expanded their international financial networks and evolved from a regional militia into a formidable regional power. Awesome. Good. I mean, good for them. That's fucking awesome. Wow. Fluctuating fortunes. Although they have dealt with ongoing warfare, severe financial sanctions, and blows to their leadership, Hezbollah remains one of the most heavily armed and politically influential non state actors in the Middle East. Oh my God. For a detailed look at their modern status and designations, you can read the Council on Foreign Relations Hezbollah Backgrounder, which don't fucking trust the Council on Foreign Relations ever. We already talked about them. They're terrible people. Or review the Congress.gov Lebanese Hezbollah Overview. I wouldn't trust Congress.gov either.
Hezbollah is still around today. Yes, Hezbollah is still active today, operating as a heavily armed militant group and a major political force in Lebanon. Despite severe degradation, loss of senior leadership, and ongoing military conflicts, the organization maintains significant arsenals
Mm,
and continues to clash with Israeli forces in Lebanon.
mm.
Key details of their current status: leadership. Following the death of longtime leader Hassan Nasrallah,
Good luck, bro.
Naim Qasim served as the Secretary General. Conflict. The group remains locked and fragile and often violated ceasefire with Israel.
Um,
Their ongoing rocket and drone attacks have prompted Israel to maintain a buffer zone in southern Lebanon. Political and social influence. Hezbollah holds parliamentary
parliamentary.
seats and commands a massive network of social services which
Mm,
has allowed them to retain deep roots in the region.
mm.
For detailed real time updates on the situation in Lebanon, you can track the coverage on BBC News or
Al Jazeera. I'm
AI
gonna cut
Jazeera.
all those bullshit. It's Al. I'm gonna cut all those in the next time, so we don't have to fucking read those.
I got
But yeah, so apparently, what we did during Iran-Contra with giving them all these weapons and money and shit, they succeeded essentially, right? They got better. They took over Lebanon in general, or at least are a big factor there. So it
It
seems
seems like
like
it.
we did this whole Iran Contra thing that enriched Oliver North and all of his buddies, the ones that didn't get murdered, were wasn't a good thing. It wasn't a good thing. That's it. This is the bottom line. It was bad. It was bad. It shouldn't have happened. Shouldn't have fucking happened. Ugh. Any questions for the next thing?
No, everything has been pretty
It's all
self-explanatory.
fucked, right? It's like
To
literally
say
all
the least.
fucked. Like if I was having well, no, actually, if I was having an organization on that side, I'd be like, yeah, no, we're doing good. But like as a citizen, as a taxpayer, all this, it's all fucked, guys. Like they abused their power and they just fucking did what they wanted, and we're not the better for it, but all these other countries are. That's kind of what it seems like. And it does look like we are at our final video for the chapter. So are you ready for this? Is going to be a good recap of the outcome. Kind of like what we read a little bit, but this will go a little bit further in detail. And I want to say he does mention the one jail thing, but this is a different guy. Again, this is the historian I was mentioning in the beginning, which, again, I'll have all links in there so that everybody can see him. But this guy's pretty good with kind of his description. So, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Oliver North was indicted in 16 felony counts of various crimes related to Iran-Contra. In May 1989, he was convicted of 3 of those counts, including lying to Congress and destroying evidence. The problem, at least for the government, was that he had received partial immunity from prosecution in exchange for his testimony to Congress in 1987, and his immunized testimony may have tainted the trial. His conviction was vacated in 1990. The next year, the remaining charges were dropped. John Poindexter was also indicted and convicted of similar crimes. And very similar to North's case, his conviction was also questioned as a result of the role of congressional testimony for which he had been immunized, at least partially, in 1987. Poindexter's convictions were reversed on appeal in 1991. Robert McFarlane pleaded guilty in 1988 to misdemeanor charges for lying to Congress. He got 2 years of probation and a fine. Richard Secord pleaded guilty 1989, lying to Congress, sentenced 2 years probation. Numerous others involved in the scandal were indicted, some convicted, some pled guilty. people like Elliot Abrams, Dwayne Claridge, Thomas Kleins, etc., I have elected not to focus on them just to try to keep this story from becoming so unwieldy with characters. George Bush, the vice president, was never able to shake the specter of Iran-Contra. It hung like a dark shadow over his own run for president in 1988, as investigations were fading from headlines, but criminal indictments for the principals were just ramping up. Bush had been briefed several times on the Iran arms initiative, most notably in July 1986 by Amiran Nir, an Israeli official involved on Israel's side of the deal. All of the documentary evidence indicates that Bush generally approved of the arms deals with Iran, and he may have had a greater understanding of their scope and purpose than President Reagan did. But again, as with Reagan, evidence is lacking when it comes to knowledge of the diversion of funds to the Contras. Iran-Contra did not catch fire as a campaign issue, perhaps in part because his Democratic opponent in 1988, Michael Dukakis, was extraordinarily weak and generally inept at exploiting any political opportunity against Bush. The sitting vice president won a lopsided victory against Dukakis in November 1988, but it was something of a hollow victory. Bush never clearly articulated his vision for the country and was generally regarded as the executor of what was essentially Reagan's third term. That wasn't how it turned out in the end, but many people did think that was going to be it at the time Bush took office in January 1989. Bush inherited the Lebanon hostage crisis from Ronald Reagan. It did not occupy the same amount of his attention as it had Reagan's. The Lebanese Civil War was ramping down. There was an agreement called the Taif Agreement, signed in early 1989. Although violence continued in Lebanon throughout the next 2 years, it gradually tapered off. The Contras never managed to win their war against the Sandinista regime. In 1990, the Sandinistas were voted out of power in a more or less peaceful election when Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega was defeated by Violeta Chamorro. The Sandinistas returned to power, again by election, not conquest, in 2006. The domino effect that Ronald Reagan feared never came to pass. As of the time this video is being made in early 2023, Ortega is still president of Nicaragua. Ayatollah Khomeini died in June 1989. His funeral was such a circus that people literally ripped his body out of its coffin. The so-called moderates in Iran that McFarlane thought he'd been dealing with never materialized. In August 1990, Saddam Hussein, the dictator of Iraq, invaded Kuwait, intending mainly to loot it and to cancel the massive debts that Hussein had run up with Kuwait during the Iran-Iraq War. The Iraqi invasion incidentally solved the issue of the al-Dawa prisoners, who, as you recall, were among the main ransom demands for the Westerners held in Beirut. After the multinational coalition of military forces, led by Bush, ejected Hussein from Kuwait, the hostage crisis fizzled. The last American hostage, Terry Anderson, was released at the beginning of December 1991, having spent 6 years in custody. 2 Germans, the last Western hostages of all, were set free in June 1992. The Persian Gulf War did not end the Iran-Contra affair. Bush felt dogged, perhaps even persecuted, by the ongoing investigation of Lawrence Walsh, the independent counsel, who was appointed in December 1986 and whose investigation stretched on incredibly through the entirety of Bush's term in office. As the years wore on, Walsh became increasingly interested in Caspar Weinberger, Reagan's former Secretary of Defense. Although a minor player in Iran-Contra, Walsh investigated Weinberger for making false statements to Congress and impeding investigations. In June 1992, when Bush was running for re-election, Walsh indicted Weinberger on 5 counts. Pursuant to this investigation, Walsh arranged to interview former President Ronald Reagan one last time. He was not a target of Walsh's investigation, but was a potential witness. On July 24, 1992, Walsh and his team interviewed former President Reagan at an office in Los Angeles. The interview was shocking. Reagan was very much aged, and his mental acuity had declined precipitously. He barely remembered who George Shultz was. He remembered nothing about TWA 847. He recalled meeting Gorbachev, but very little else. Far from being useful as a potential witness in a trial against Weinberger, Reagan's memory was significantly gone. It would still be 2 years before Reagan's public statement that he had Alzheimer's disease, but it was clear that its symptoms had manifested long before then, possibly even beginning in his second term in office. If Reagan ever knew anything substantive about the Iran-Contra diversion, he quickly forgot it. Reagan, of course, died of Alzheimer's disease in 2004. Walsh issued one final indictment against Weinberger only days before the 1992 election. Many Republicans believed this indictment, coming into the news cycle so shortly before the vote, ensured Bush's defeat. I really don't think it made a difference. Bush's re-election campaign in 1992 was limp and lifeless. He seemed tired and out of touch. As in 1988, he failed to convey any coherent picture of where he wanted to take America, and his main attack on challenger Bill Clinton was that Clinton dodged the Vietnam draft and was apparently not a fervent enough believer in American exceptionalism. All the polls showed Bush significantly behind going into Election Day, and the third-party candidacy of Ross Perot was doing him no favors. Nevertheless, Bush was bitter about his defeat, and especially the role he thought Walsh might have played in it, partly to end the nightmare of Iran-Contra, and perhaps partially out of spite. Bush issued pardons to Caspar Weinberger and a few other Iran-Contra figures on Christmas Eve 1992, after the election,
that's why.
but before Clinton took office. Walsh wound up his investigation, and his stint as investigative counsel ended on August 4th, 1993, nearly 7 years after he'd been appointed. Oliver North tried to go into politics, emphasis on the tried. In 1994, he ran for a Senate seat in Virginia against Charles Robb, who incidentally was Lyndon Johnson's son-in-law. Robb trounced him. North wound up in 2018 as president of the National Rifle Association, but he quit that job after a feud with NRA chairman Wayne LaPierre. He now writes books. After Poindexter's criminal convictions were reversed on appeal, he went into the defense contracting business, working for various high-tech firms and on defense projects.
Of course.
He's still alive and is today an election denier, pushing the baseless conspiracy theory that the 2020 election was stolen from Donald Trump. Robert McFarlane also became a consultant, especially on international nuclear issues. He died in 2022. Donald Regan, Reagan's disgraced chief of staff, wrote a kiss-and-tell memoir of his time in the White House, which publicly exposed the scandal that the Reagans were heavily influenced by kooky astrologer Joan Quigley. Regan died in 2003, Quigley in 2014. Manucher Ghorbanifar, the Iranian arms dealer, is still alive. He popped up in a couple of different capers loosely related to the war on terror in the 2000s, but it's not clear what he's up to these days. Eugene Hasenfuss, the CIA man shot down over Nicaragua, was sentenced to 30 years by a Nicaraguan court, but was pardoned as an act of mercy by Daniel Ortega, and he returned to the United States. Many decades later, he served time in Wisconsin for indecent exposure. The plane in which Hasenfuss was flying that day was incidentally turned into a pub in Costa Rica. Fawn Hall, Oliver North's former secretary, briefly dated actor Rob Lowe, and she also dated the son of one of the leaders of the Contras. In the 90s, she married Danny Sugerman, former manager of The Doors and author of the Jim Morrison biography, No One Here Gets Out Alive. He is now deceased. Fawn is still alive, living quietly in L.A.
Good for her.
In 1985
She did well for
and
herself.
86, the United States government sold military-grade weapons to the country of Iran, a sponsor of various terrorist groups, as sort of an indirect ransom for hostages held by some of those same groups that Iran sponsored. Money received from those weapons sales was secretly diverted to fund a covert army, the Contras, that was fighting against the socialist government of Nicaragua. All of these actions were either illegal or contrary to the stated policy of the United States, or both. That's the basic summary of the Iran-Contra scandal. But I hope you understand now, as complicated and impenetrable as this scandal
There he is.
the
It's our
wall
guy.
of crazy personified in real life, that it does matter in history. It matters not only to the legacy of Ronald Reagan, but to the political and constitutional history of the United States as a whole. I made this video because I fear that the Iran-Contra affair is in danger of being eclipsed or even forgotten in popular historical memory. In all the momentous events that have occurred since 1986, most of them bigger, flashier, and more memorable, something like Iran-Contra is in real danger of becoming just a dusty little detail on the bottom page of a history book that no one reads. It shouldn't be that. Now you know something about it too.
No, dude, it's fucking crazy what happened. Like, everyone should know about it.
I know. It's
Like, the little bit that we read about it is fucking nuts. And it's even more nuts than we even touched. Like, it's wild. Ugh. Yeah, I think that was a good end, though. I think that was a good.
yeah, that was.
His is like an hour and a half or an hour and 50 minutes or something long talking about it. So he does go into further detail and whatnot. Um, but no, like the whole thing is fucked.
hmm
Like, it really is. And nobody went to prison besides one dude. That's the thing that's wild.
And like I told you, dude, like I bet you that one dude had the least to do with it.
I can almost guarantee. Well, I can't guarantee that, but I agree with you 100% that he probably did have very little to do with it. And they're like, you're gonna go down for this. You're gonna just spend 16 months. We'll get you out early though, probably 8 months with good behavior, and you'll get a bunch of money afterwards. Because I didn't look at what that guy did afterwards or what his net worth is, if they even report that or any of that. So. Wow, it's all wild. It's fucking wild. But yeah, any other comments or things you want to add before the next thing?
No.
No? Okay. It's fucking crazy. So, now we bring ourselves to chapter 38, which is Pope John Paul the First. There he is. We're by, we're like, I don't know what happened.
We're back, baby. I got a sombrero on.
That's it. I mean, now we're in a public setting. So, what's funny is, you see the guys behind us? Do you think they're mafioso guys or no?
Why? Of course. Look at them. They have the fedoras.
Well, I had them put fedoras on, actually. So, I, I had. It's actually funny you brought up the fedora thing. Because I did. I had ChatGPT. I said, hey, put these two guys in this next to the Pope dead and then have some mafioso guys behind them. And then it had them, and I was like, put some fedoras on them. That'll look more like they're mafioso. So sure enough, I put fedoras on the guys in the back and me, and I'm like, no, 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 no.
Question.
Take mine off.
Did he wanted them to be Italian mobsters?
I did actually,
Okay.
because I mean, you'll see why. But
No, I'm just saying because back in I don't know exactly what year this is like going back to, but they used to like the fedoras were more known as like the Italian gangsters or mobsters, and then the other gang was like the Irish mob. They had
mm,
like the more like
yeah,
curved like so depending on what type of hat they had on.
yeah. I think those are Italian fedoras.
Yeah, those are Italian. The fedoras are Italian.
Okay, good. Yeah. So I picked the right thing. I'm glad I did what I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, you did.
That's a win. But unfortunately, we are next to the 33-day Pope who died after 33 days, which you briefly remember from going over Roberto Calvi's video, right?
I think so. That name rings a bell.
Yeah. So, well, he was the guy that killed himself, suicide under the bridge,
Yep.
hanging with bricks.
Oh no,
But
sorry. Then yes.
okay,
Sorry, it's
all
just
right.
the name. I forget the name.
I'm with you. I'm terrible with names, which is where it's great that I always get into sales positions. So, like, whatever.
Um, I'm good with faces, just not
But
with
I
names.
am great with faces. I'll be like, "Hey, you guy." It's like, yeah, you remember my name?
You
No.
know who you are.
Do you not remember being here? I remember you, you fuck. But yeah, so this here is the 33-day Pope. So anything you want to add before we go into the first thing reading about him?
No.
Okay. See, I told you you'd be
Okay.
okay.
All right.
I
Like
told you
one
you'd
one
be
out of like
okay.
1 out of 30. Okay, come on.
1 out of 30, you're right. So, and the best thing is it's actually a continuation of my question. But so, who was Pope John Paul I? Pope John Paul I, born Albino Luciano, which I didn't know they changed their names when they became Pope. I didn't know it was like getting married, but okay. Was the head of the Catholic Church and sovereign of Vatican City for just 33 days in 1978. Fondly remembered as the Smiling Pope. He sounds like a good guy. He was the first to choose a double name, honoring both of his immediate predecessors. His extraordinarily brief pontificate left an enduring mark on church history for several notable reasons, key milestones, and nicknames. The Smiling Pope, known for his warm, pastoral style, approachable demeanor, and radiant smile, he endeared himself quickly to ordinary people and the media. A papal first. He was the first pope to choose a double name. John Paul the first, born in the 20th century, and the last Italian-born pope to date. It's actually kind of interesting. Rejection of royal trappings. He was the first pope in centuries to refuse traditional coronation, opting instead for a simpler inauguration. And he famously chose to speak in the singular I rather than the royal we, which is actually kind of important too. Beatification in September 2022, he was officially beatified by Pope Francis, taking him one step closer to sainthood in the Catholic Church. He's been dead for fucking 50 years. Okay. All right, go ahead. All right. Like either do it or
Oh my
don't.
god.
Like you could have done it when he just after he died. Why you wait until 2022? Okay. All right, whatever, dude. Clowns.
Life and career. Before his papacy.
Papacy, baby.
Why they gotta say it like that?
It is papacy.
Albino Luciani came from a humble background in the northern Italy and grew up in a working class family. He was ordained a priest in 1935, appointed bishop of Vittorio
Vittorio
Veneto
Veneto. Yes.
in 1958, and later became the Patriarch of Venice in 1969. What a great year.
Good.
He was highly regarded for his theological soundness and his dedication to teaching accessible Christianity to everyday Catholics.
Mm,
Sudden death. His time as pontiff is one of the shortest in papal history. He passed
Apple.
away unexpectedly in his sleep on September 28, 1978,
Aw.
at the age of 65. Because his death occurred so suddenly after his election, it generated various conspiracy theories through official Vatican findings, attribute his passing to the heart attack.
That's it.
You can read more about his life and legacy on the official Vatican. Oop, John Paul First biography page. Hey, you didn't read the book, my man.
Oh, motherfucker. All right. So,
You see,
since
I'm a
we.
great co-host.
That's it.
I need to keep you on
You
track.
gotta keep me on my toes. That's true. So, since we read the beginning, a little bit of info about him, let's start. Yeah, I'm glad you said that actually, because I was going to completely forget until the end. So, Pope John Paul I. Even in Italy, land of the conspiracy, no plot comes more entangled than the death of Pope John Paul I. When white smoke puffed above the Vatican on 26 August 1978 to signal the election of Albino Luciano to the papacy, no one was more surprised than Luciano himself. A Vatican low profiler, Luciani, was a deeply modest man who refused the papal tiara at his coronation and endeared himself to many, not just Catholics, by his smiling kindness. Just 33 days later, he was dead. According to the Vatican, John Paul I's death was natural, of course. But then they would say that, wouldn't they? I mean, that's totally true. And then, okay, let's just read the last two, because, yeah, it's only 2.5 pages of this whole thing. Yallop's case, though strong, is circumstantial. The Vatican Bank was corrupt to the core, and the one of the major players, Roberto Calvi, met a retirement not usually associated with the banking profession. Sure, putting it lightly. But did John Paul I himself meet a natural death? A persuasive counterblast of Yallop's book came in 1989 with A Thief in the Night by John Cornwell, an English journalist who, after conducting his own investigation, concluded that John Paul I died of a pulmonary embolism. Indeed, John Paul I had manifested the classic symptoms of the condition, swollen feet. So yeah, he had swollen feet. Yeah, it must have been a heart attack. Of course, it might be objected that John Cornwell would say that, wouldn't he? He was asked to write A Thief in the Night by ... the Vatican. Of course, so they funded their own book. Pope John Paul I was victim of homicidal, reactionary, and criminal element in Vatican, alert level 6. So he doesn't believe it as much as he does Iran-Contra. And I think that's because of the news reports. That's the only thing I can think of. He's still on board, though, because the 6... Like, you saw with the alien thing, he's like a 1 or 2. But this stuff is 6? Okay, so he believes that there's something fishy going on with John Paul I, which is the Pope. So are you ready for the next thing?
Yep.
Okay. So, what is it? Yeah, this is like what happened, like what happened with him, and then like what the Vatican came out with. So good. All right. So Pope John Paul I died of because I think I asked like, why did they kill him? And they're like, no, they didn't kill
No, they
him.
didn't.
They didn't do it. He died of a
Hey,
heart attack. It's like,
we have
oh, okay.
seen that they do everything legally, okay?
We have. Except for when Googly Eye says that they
Oh my
didn't.
god.
It's like because it was obviously known by everybody that they didn't. But Pope John Paul I died of a sudden heart attack, myocardial infarction on September 28, 1978, at the age of 65. His passing occurred just 34 days into his papacy, which is funny that they threw this 34 in there when everything else that they talk about is 33, and everywhere else you look, it's the 33-day pope. So I don't know if they were trying to throw me off the Freemason thing with throwing the 34, because there's 33, 33rd degree, all that shit. So There's something weird about that they would throw this at me Google wise. But yeah, 34 days into his papacy, making it one of the shortest reigns in Vatican history. Medical historians and official Vatican investigations conclude that his death was from natural causes, Eddie, duh. Specifically a fatal coronary thrombosis, likely brought on by the following.
Don't they all die from natural causes?
Everyone does, all the time. All the time, even when they're like 24. Natural causes. I'm like, oh, okay, all right.
It's like all these natural heart attacks, when they
All
get
the
in
time.
conflict.
As soon as they're named in like a jury thing or about to do
Oh my
something
god.
bad or coming out with some info, it's like, oh no,
Yeah, they have a
heart
natural
attack.
heart attack.
Well, we
Doesn't
saw
matter what age, how their health was.
we did
It's
see
happened.
that last guy though died of some crazy brain tumors. That they was a super fast acting brain cancer thing, which is another question mark. But these are the reasons that they claim he died by. So overwork and stress. Even though he'd been in the Vatican, by the way, for a little while there, he's still. As soon as he was pope, they're like, nope, oh my God, he's a heart attack. The sudden transition to the papacy imposed immense pressure and an exhausting schedule on the pope. Prior health issues. Earlier on the day of his death, he experienced severe chest pains, but declined to call for a doctor. He had a history of underlying
Oh my god.
circulatory and heart issues. Isn't that like the biggest fucking bullshit ever? Like, oh,
Uh,
he had all these things but didn't tell anybody. So what happened?
yeah, all these records, they were never there. They just popped up magically after he died.
Dude, I could literally say like anything about anything after someone's dead and be like, yeah, he mentioned something. Oh my god. He died? He can't verify what I'm saying now?
One day he had a
Oh
chest
my
pain and was
god.
doing
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the thing. What a fucking joke. Oh man. Ah, what a joke. Because of the suddenness of his passing, the lack of an autopsy, which was standard Vatican protocol for popes at the time, because you don't want to know why the guy died, and initial discrepancies in the Vatican's official statement regarding who found the body, his death sparked numerous, unproven conspiracy theories involving foul play or financial scandals. Like, isn't that
Okay.
ridiculous? And it's all because I asked who killed the Pope. It's like they throw all
Like
this shit at you.
today, like this episode has been just like random ass shit. I swear to
Hasn't
God.
it been really weird? These two topics I didn't think were going to be as weird as they are, but oh my god, they fucking take the cake.
The Vatican has never explicitly confirmed any illicit loss of
I
funds
asked what
or
happened to all the
corruption
monies lost for his death.
directly under Pope John Paul I, who died in 1978, just 30 days into the papacy.
Isn't it funny?
However,
They said 33 there, but they said 34 on the other side.
yeah, they can't get it right.
They have no idea.
However, his sudden death sparked widespread theories that he was killed for attempting to investigate financial corruption in the Vatican Bank.
Yeah.
The context surrounding the loss of funds typically refers to the Banco Ambrosiano
That was
scandal in
the Roberto
1982,
Calvi that we talked about.
involving hundreds of millions of dollars. While the Vatican never claimed responsibility for those lost funds,
No shit.
they quietly agreed to pay roughly God, 240 million to creditors to settle the dispute without officially admitting to any legal or criminal
Isn't that
wrongdoing.
isn't that how it works? Like, hey, by the way, I'm not gonna agree that this shit happened, but I'm gonna give
Here, we're
you money.
innocent. We're innocent, but you know what? So you guys don't keep on going on with this. We'll give you guys 240 million.
Dude, it doesn't work that way.
It's
What a
fucking
world.
unbelievable.
What a fucking world, man.
Just, you know what? Just stop, guys. Okay,
You
just
know,
stop.
for real.
Here's 240 million. Just stop.
Just stop investigating us. Like, is this not enough? Is this okay? All right, good. Then shut up.
Over the decades, the Vatican has continuously denied claims that John Paul first that was related to his financial investigations. And in later years, the Vatican took significant steps toward transparency, including publishing the Vatican Bank's annual financial reports for the first time in its history and igniting sweeping regulatory reforms
Oh
under the
boy.
Pope Francis to overhaul his institution's financial practices.
Wow.
Oh my god.
What a fucking weird thing, man. I'm telling you. This whole thing. Like, it's. Oh, man, whatever. Like, they lie to our faces, Google AI. You're lying again, Google AI. You were giving us the truth a little bit.
It's just like I love how it says like, oh yeah, they show reports. Like the same people that are doing this, they're gonna show they're gonna show actual reports to the public.
Right. Yeah,
Like really?
exactly.
Like
Yeah.
really?
No fucking way. No fucking way. Ah. Anything you want to add for the next thing?
No, it's just
It's silly,
I
right?
can't believe it.
It's
Oh
fucking
my god.
silly. Ah. Is it a video next? It is a video next. Okay, good. So, this here, there's a ton of videos that you can watch out there about it. This one I found was probably one of the better ones, and it was pretty much like it kind of kicked it out, kicked it out, kicked it out. I think I only saved us like a minute, maybe, on it, so it's about 20 minutes long, just as an FYI. I do like that it's 2020. Um, but, yeah, anything you want to add before we watch the video?
No.
Okay, you'll like this. This is good.
No, let's go into it.
And you know the funny thing, the one thing I've realized about all of YouTube now is that all you need to do is write a fucking script, have a bunch of AI images, and all it is just AI reading shit. So
hmm
that's essentially what this is. I watched another one and it was funny, and I stopped and I was like recording it for a little bit, but then I stopped it because like it didn't even have like John. It couldn't even say John Paul the First. It kept saying third and all these other things. I'm like, motherfucker, like, get your AI video right. Like, just put the first. Like, put one ST, and it will say those words. Like, what's wrong with you? But yeah, so that's why we only got one video because it was like stupid. But this does it. This does a good job. So you'll like it. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Imagine becoming the most powerful religious leader on earth and then dying before you even had time to unpack your things. 33 days. That's all it took for the Vatican to go from celebrating a new era of hope to rushing a body to the embalmer in the middle of the night, refusing to allow an autopsy, changing the story of who found him dead, and making documents vanish from his bedroom before anyone could read them. The official explanation was a heart attack. But the people who were there, the journalists who dug into it, and even a Hollywood director who turned it into a blockbuster film were all convinced of something far darker. This is the story of Pope John Paul I, the smiling pope who ruled for 33 days, the suspicious death that shook the world, and the American archbishop at the very center of a conspiracy so deep it touched the Vatican Bank, the Italian Mafia, and the corridors of power in Washington, D.C. On August 26, 1978, a white-haired, soft-spoken cardinal from a small town in northern Italy stepped out onto the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica and smiled. It was the smile that defined him. Albino Luciani had just been elected pope, and he chose the name John Paul I, a tribute to both of his predecessors. The crowd below went wild. He looked nothing like the formal, distant popes of the past. He was warm, humble, even funny. He had once compared God to a mother. He carried his own briefcase. The Italian press immediately called him Il Papa del Sorriso, the smiling pope. Americans loved him too. Time magazine ran his face on the cover. The New York Times called his election a breath of fresh air for millions of Catholics around the world, and for a lot of non-Catholics who simply appreciated a decent human being in a position of power. John Paul I felt like something genuinely new. And then, 33 days later, he was dead. On the morning of September 29, 1978, the Vatican announced to a stunned world that Pope John Paul I had been found dead in his bed. He was 65 years old. There had been no warning, no illness announced to the public, no last rites administered because nobody knew he needed them. The cause of death was declared to be an acute myocardial infarction, a heart attack, suffered sometime during the night. The Vatican said a secretary had gone to wake the Pope for morning prayers and found him unresponsive. The body, they said, was discovered with a book still in his hands, as though he had simply fallen asleep reading. It sounded peaceful. It sounded clean. But almost nothing about the official story would hold up to scrutiny. The first lie was small, but it was a lie. The Vatican initially said that a male secretary had found the body. It later emerged that it was actually Sister Vincenza Taffarel, a nun who had served Luciani for years, who had brought him his morning coffee and discovered he was gone. Why did the Vatican feel the need to obscure something so basic? In Catholic tradition, a woman, especially a nun, being in the Pope's private bedroom was considered improper, even if the circumstances were entirely innocent. So they changed the story. For conspiracy theorists, this was not a minor clerical error. If the Vatican was willing to lie about who found the body, what else were they lying about? Then came the question of the autopsy, or rather, the absence of one. Under Vatican tradition, popes are not required to undergo autopsies. The Church argued that it was a matter of respect for the dignity of the body, but John Paul I had been a perfectly healthy 65-year-old man, at least according to everything the public had been told, who had died suddenly, alone in the middle of the night, with no witnesses. In virtually any other context, in any country with a functioning legal system, an autopsy would have been mandatory. In the Vatican, it was not performed. Not only that, but the body was embalmed with what many observers described as startling speed. Within hours of the announcement, the process was underway. Any trace of a poison, had there been one, would have been nearly impossible to detect afterward. The papers also disappeared. Multiple accounts, including those of Sister Vincenza and others close to the papal apartments, suggested that John Paul I had been found sitting upright in bed, not lying peacefully as the official version claimed, and more importantly, he had been holding documents, papers he had apparently been reviewing the night before. Those papers were never publicly identified. They were not mentioned in any official Vatican statement, and according to several sources, they were simply gone by the time officials began organizing the room. This detail, quiet, seemingly minor, would become one of the most explosive pieces of the conspiracy puzzle. To understand why anyone would want John Paul I dead, you need to understand what he was about to do. And to understand that, you need to follow the money. Specifically, you need to follow the money into one of the most corrupt financial institutions in modern European history, a place known publicly as the Institute for the Works of Religion, but known to everyone in Rome by a different name, the Vatican Bank. In 1978, the Vatican Bank was run by an American. His name was Archbishop Paul Marcinkus, and he was born in Cicero, Illinois, a city in the suburbs of Chicago with a colorful history of its own. Marcinkus was not a theologian or a philosopher. He was a fixer, a big, broad-shouldered man who had once bodily shielded Pope Paul VI from a knife-wielding attacker in Manila. He had risen through the Vatican ranks through sheer competence and force of personality. He became the head of the Vatican Bank in 1971, and under his watch, the institution entered into a fateful partnership with a man named Roberto Calvi, the president of the Banco Ambrosiano, Italy's largest private bank. The relationship between the Vatican Bank and the Banco Ambrosiano was, on paper, a simple financial arrangement. In reality, it was something much darker. Calvi used the Vatican Bank as a mechanism to obscure the movement of money, enormous sums of money, that originated from sources that did not want to be identified. There were connections to the Italian Mafia. There were connections to shadowy political networks. There were connections to a secret Masonic lodge called Propaganda Do, or P2, whose membership list read like a who's who of Italian power: military officers, politicians, intelligence agents, and allegedly senior figures inside the Vatican itself. And there were connections, this is the part that will be very familiar to American ears, to the broader geopolitical chess game of the Cold War. Here's how it worked. The Vatican, throughout the 1970s, was deeply invested in fighting the spread of communism across Europe. This was not just a religious concern, it was an existential one. Communist governments suppressed religion. They closed churches, arrested priests, and persecuted believers. For the Vatican, a Europe that fell to Soviet influence was a catastrophe. For the United States government, it was also a catastrophe, for different but overlapping reasons. And so, quietly, with no official announcement, money began to flow. The Vatican Bank served as a conduit. Roberto Calvi and the Banco Ambrosiano served as the mechanism. Funds moved through shell companies registered in Panama, Luxembourg, and the Caribbean. Some of that money ended up financing anti-communist movements, including, it was later alleged, the Solidarity trade union movement in Poland, which would eventually help bring down Soviet control of that country. From the American perspective, the Vatican's financial network was not just a religious institution. It was a strategic asset. And then John Paul I arrived, and he wanted to shut it down. According to multiple sources, including journalist David Yallop, whose 1984 book In God's Name became an international sensation and sold millions of copies, Pope John Paul I had become deeply alarmed by what he learned about the Vatican Bank's activities in his 33 days as Pope. He had reportedly commissioned a review of the IOR's operations. He had obtained information suggesting that the Vatican held majority shares in the Banco Ambrosiano and that the institution was being used for money laundering on a massive scale. And on the night of September 28, 1978, the night he died, he had reportedly met with Cardinal Jean-Marie Villot, his Secretary of State, to discuss a sweeping restructuring of the Vatican's power structure. On that list of changes, the removal of Archbishop Paul Marcinkus from his position at the Vatican Bank. Yallop's thesis was blunt. John Paul I had discovered what was happening. He had decided to act. And before he could act, he was killed, poisoned with digitalis, a cardiac medication that in the wrong dose can cause symptoms indistinguishable from a heart attack and is nearly impossible to detect without a toxicology screen.
Yep.
The people with the most to lose, Marcinkus, Calvi, and the network connected to both of them, had the means, the motive, and the opportunity. The Vatican's refusal to allow an autopsy, in Yallop's telling, was not tradition. It was a cover-up. The book caused a sensation in the United States. American readers were captivated. Here was a story that had everything: religion, money, murder, the Mafia, and a conspiracy that reached from Chicago to Rome to the corridors of the Central Intelligence Agency. The New York Times reviewed it at length. Time magazine ran a feature called The Vatican Poison Gossip. It was not treated as fringe material. It was treated as serious investigative journalism, even by publications that ultimately questioned some of Yallop's conclusions. And it sold. By some estimates, In God's Name moved more than 6 million copies worldwide. But the most vivid illustration of how deeply this story penetrated American culture was not a book. It was a movie. In 1990, Francis Ford Coppola released The Godfather Part 3, the final chapter of his legendary trilogy. The plot of the film centers on a fictitious pope who dies under suspicious circumstances, a corrupt Vatican bank, an American archbishop who is deeply entangled with organized crime, and a massive financial scandal involving a fictional Italian bank that is an almost scene-for-scene analog of the Banco Ambrosiano collapse. Coppola never pretended the parallels were accidental. The character of the Pope in the film is explicitly named John Paul I. The message was unmistakable. This was not just a conspiracy theory. This was the story of how real power actually works, dressed up in the language of fiction so it could be told at all. Now, here is where the story gets even stranger. Because just 3 years after John Paul I died, the man at the center of the financial web met his own end in circumstances that were, if anything, even more theatrical. In June of 1982, Roberto Calvi, the banker of God, as some in Italy called him, was found hanging beneath Blackfriars Bridge in London. His body was dangling over the River Thames. His pockets were stuffed with bricks and cash. British authorities initially ruled it a suicide. Italian investigators weren't so sure. Years of legal proceedings followed. Ultimately, the conclusion that emerged from subsequent investigations was that Roberto Calvi had been murdered, most likely by members of the Mafia who feared what he might reveal if he was arrested and forced to testify. The bricks in his pockets were symbolic. In Masonic ritual, a traitor can be condemned to death by drowning, weighed down with stones. Whether or not the killer intended that symbolism, it became the detail that everyone remembered. Michele Sindona, another key figure in the Vatican financial network, a Sicilian banker with ties to the Mafia who had also served as a financial advisor to the Vatican and who had direct connections to former President Richard Nixon's political fundraising network, also came to a dramatic end. He died in an Italian prison in 1986 after drinking a cup of coffee laced with cyanide. It was ruled a murder. He had been convicted of ordering the killing of a lawyer investigating his finances, and many believed he was silenced before he could implicate others.
Of course.
The American connection to all of this, and this is the part that should resonate most powerfully with an American audience, was not incidental. Archbishop Marcinkus, the man from Cicero, Illinois, was so deeply implicated in the Banco Ambrosiano scandal that Italian prosecutors issued a warrant for his arrest. The potential losses from the bank's collapse were estimated at $1.3 billion, a staggering figure for 1982. But Marcinkus never faced Italian justice. He was protected by the Vatican's status as a sovereign state, which meant that Italian law enforcement could not simply walk into Vatican City and take him. He lived inside the Vatican walls for years, effectively shielded by the institution he had helped to corrupt. He eventually returned to the United States in 1990, retired to Sun City, Arizona, and died in 2006 at the age of 84, never having answered, in a court of law, for any of it. And then there was the list. 16 days before John Paul I died, on September 12, 1978, an Italian investigative journalist named Mino Pecorelli published something extraordinary in his magazine, L'Osservatore Politico. It was a list of 121 names. These were, Pecorelli claimed, senior figures within the Vatican, cardinals, bishops, and high-ranking officials, who were secretly members of Freemasonry. Membership in Masonic lodges was, and remains, forbidden under Catholic canon law. To be on that list was to be accused of living a double life, publicly serving the church while privately pledging loyalty to a secret brotherhood with its own rituals, hierarchies,
why
and
our
agenda.
Politicians
The names on the list included some of
out.
the most powerful men in the Vatican. Cardinal Jean-Marie Villot, the Secretary of State, the man who would have been first on the scene when the Pope's body was discovered, and whose actions in the hours following the death have been a source of intense suspicion ever since. Archbishop Paul Marcinkus, the American banker, the man John Paul I, was allegedly about to fire. Cardinal Agostino Casaroli, a skilled diplomat and key figure in Vatican foreign policy. These were not peripheral figures. These were the inner circle. According to David Yallop and other researchers, John Paul I received this list and was shaken to his core. The papers that were reportedly found in his hands when his body was discovered and then disappeared before anyone could document them may have been related to this list. The theory goes like this. The Pope had decided that the men named on that list had to go. He told Cardinal Villot as much in their meeting on the night of September 28th, and by morning, he was dead. And the papers were gone. And Cardinal Villot, the man who ordered the embalming, the man who collected the Pope's reading glasses and slippers and certain items from the nightstand and never fully accounted for them, remained in his position. Mino Pecorelli, the journalist who published the list, was shot and killed in Rome in March of 1979, less than 6 months after John Paul I died. He had been investigating connections between the Mafia, the P2 Lodge, and the political establishment. His murder was never conclusively solved, though years of trials implicated figures connected to the P2 network. For those who believe John Paul I was murdered, Pecorelli's fate is not a coincidence. It is a pattern. Now, to be fair, and the story deserves this, not everyone agrees that John Paul I was murdered. The Vatican has consistently maintained that he died of natural causes. And in 2022, the Church reached a significant milestone. John Paul I was beatified by Pope Francis, the first step towards sainthood. As part of that process, Vatican archivists opened sealed medical documents related to the
in your
Pope's health
face.
in his final months and hours. What those documents reportedly showed was significant. John Paul I had been suffering from symptoms, circulatory problems, chest pains. In the hours before his death, he had reportedly complained of discomfort but refused to call a doctor. He had been under extraordinary stress, thrust into one of the most demanding jobs on the planet with almost no preparation time and surrounded by institutional forces that were not entirely welcoming of his agenda. The Vatican's position, reinforced by its own commissioned investigation, a book published in 1989 by British journalist John Cornwell, was that the Pope's death, while unexpected, was entirely consistent with a man in poor health who had been pushed past his limits. Cornwell's book, titled A Thief in the Night, was meant to be a definitive rebuttal to Yallop, and to some degree it was. Cornwell concluded that John Paul I had died of natural causes, but that the death had been made worse, possibly accelerated, by medical negligence. The Pope had been given inadequate care, his health had not been properly monitored, and the Vatican's medical establishment had failed in its basic duty. Cornwell also criticized the Vatican's handling of the aftermath, the rushed embalming, the inconsistent stories, the disappearing items, as genuinely problematic, even if he did not believe they indicated murder. He thought the Vatican's behavior was a product of institutional panic and a desire to protect reputations, not evidence of a coordinated killing. That is a reasonable conclusion. And yet, the feeling persists. It persists because of the timing. It persists because of what John Paul I was apparently planning to do. It persists because of what happened to Calvi and to Sindona and to Pecorelli. It persists because Marcinkus lived out his days in Arizona, untouched by justice.
Yeah.
And it persists because the Vatican, an institution that has been around for 2,000 years and understands better than almost anyone the power of narrative, chose, in its moment of crisis, to tell a story that kept changing. First, it was a secretary. Then it was a nun. First, there were papers. Then there were no papers. First, the body was lying down. Then it was sitting up. When the most powerful religious institution in the world can't keep its story straight about something as basic as who found the body and what position it was in, it is very hard to ask people to simply take the rest on faith. What we know for certain is this. A man was elected pope. He smiled at the world. He seemed to millions of people like exactly what the church needed. He ruled for 33 days. He died alone, in the night, without a witness. His body was embalmed before anyone with authority could ask questions. The financial empire he had reportedly been about to challenge continued to operate for years, destroying billions of dollars in wealth and ruining thousands of lives.
Yep.
The men he had apparently been about to confront either died violently, fled justice, or lived out their retirements in quiet comfort. And the church that he led declared him blessed, a man of heroic virtue, and moved on. Maybe it was a heart attack. Maybe it was stress and grief and the weight of an office that would have broken stronger men. Maybe the Vatican's explanations, clumsy and inconsistent as they were, add up to nothing more than an institution that panicked in the face of tragedy and made bad decisions in a fog of shock. That is possible. It is genuinely possible. But here is what the 33-day papacy of John Paul I left behind. Beyond the theories and the suspicions, a question that the Vatican, despite 2,000 years of practice at answering difficult questions, has never quite managed to answer in a way that satisfies. What was in those papers? Where did they go? And who, in the long and complicated history of the world's oldest institution, decided that the smiling Pope had to stop smiling?
It's a good question, isn't it?
You really think so?
Do you really think so? I mean, honestly, I feel like that video did kind of encapsulate everything. Like, put it all together and like, boom, here you go. They did a really good job. They did. Again, all videos in the description, so if you want to watch it, again, it'll be there for you. But there's like maybe 30 seconds left of the video. But no, that was interesting, right? Like, the whole thing is fucking weird. The whole thing is weird. I still think, like, the multiple different, like, was he laying down? Was he sitting up? Was he reading a book? Was he reading papers?
Was it 31 days? Was it 32 days? Was it 33
Well,
days?
It's 33 days, Eddie. It has to be, like, you're escalating, you're walking up the steps of Freemasonry, okay? You have to. Propaganda do it. they're a Freemason lodge. Ugh. But anything you want to add before we go into some more reading? Because we're reading for the rest of it, then we're done.
And also, too, well, this is
Yeah.
one thing that I
What
do
do you
want
got?
to add. Well, obviously, they could. What if
Mm-hmm.
he was dead before that, and they finally said he died 33 days after?
I mean, it's very possible.
You know what I mean?
100%.
I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say,
I
because
know exactly what you're trying to say, because the numbers that they throw at us on like a news briefing in this are very important, because you don't realize it, but yes, a lot of them have to do with these secret societies, and then that way it shows
and they have
the
a
people that are
meaning,
paying
and
attention that it was the secret society that killed him. That's why it's 33 days instead of being like 29 days or whatever the case. 100%, Eddie. I know
Mhm.
exactly what you mean. That's why they throw it in your face. That's why they throw 33. Look at how many things, and it's weird. You'll notice it. If you start paying attention, you'll notice all these things like 33-year-old dies, or he died on 33rd Street, or he died, like you'll see these things start to like add up. And then you'll start to get to like that movie, The Lucky Number 23, or whatever it was. But they put that 23 in there because they didn't want to put 33 in the movie. Because otherwise, he'd be counting everything to 33, not 23. But, yeah. No, the whole thing is weird. He probably did die prior to that. Wouldn't surprise me. And they let him sit there in his fucking room dead. And that's why they did the autopsy right away. Or not, didn't do an autopsy. That's why they embalmed him right away. Because it would have shown that he died like 3 days earlier. Yeah. No, you're totally
Mhm.
right. Yeah. It's just amazing how everybody else around that whole thing died, too. It's like, oh, okay.
Of course.
The guy that made the report was
They all
shot.
die naturally, okay?
Well, no, the guy that made the report was shot. They said that he was shot. So, good for
He was
him.
naturally shot.
He was naturally shot by him. Yeah, that's it. That's fucking it, man.
Natural causes.
Natural causes. It's fucking
Oh my god.
poisoning by a bullet. You know what I mean?
The bullet gave him a heart attack.
That's
A
it.
natural heart attack.
All day. All day, baby. All day.
Oh my god.
What a fucking weird world. Oh, we're living in it. And we've been,
It's
the
gonna get
funny,
to a point where they're just gonna say some dumb shit like that.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, he died by lead poisoning. And it's like, oh, how? Oh, he had a bullet. It's like, oh, okay. All right.
He ate the bullet.
That's it. He ate a bullet. Besides the wound that you see going through his abdomen into his stomach, no, that's
Oh,
he ate a bullet. He ate a bullet. Oh, okay,
oh
all
my
right,
god.
you got it. No need for an autopsy, guys. You already told us.
Uh,
Let's just embalm him and get on with this. Unfucking real, dude. Unfucking real. So yeah, anything else you got then for the next thing?
no.
Okay. So next we're reading, yeah, and like I said, we're reading for the rest of it. There's only a couple things we're reading left, and then we're done. So we got Mafia ties to Vatican. Historically, the Mafia and elements within the Vatican have been linked throughout illicit banking and money laundering operations. This relationship is largely rooted in the post-World War II era and the financial scandals of the late 20th century. Okay. The Banco Imbragiano scandal. This is what we've read about. In the 1970s and 80s, the Vatican Bank, IOR, under Archbishop Paul Marcinkus, that's the guy we just heard about, engaged in complex, speculative financial ventures. This included deep ties to Roberto Calvi, head of Banco Ambrosiano, and Michel, I want to say it's Michel, Sindona, an international banker with heavy Cosa Nostra connections. There's another thing you should probably look at. These figures allegedly used the secretive, unregulated nature of the Vatican Bank to launder billions of dollars in mafia money. Yeah, no one who's looking into the Vatican besides the Vatican, right? When Banco Ambrosiano collapsed in 1982, Calvi was found hanged under London's Blackfriars Bridge, which was a whole nother fucking Freemason thing. And Sindona died of cyanide poisoning in prison. Good for him. He did it. He did it well. The Banda Dea Magliana. I'm probably reading that reverse
Banda
Spanish.
della Magliana.
Yeah, it's not Spanish though; it's Italian. During the
That's
same
the same thing.
during the same era, Rome's notorious Banda della Magliana, a gang that carried out enforcement and money laundering operations for Sicilian mafia bosses, maintained direct contact with senior Vatican prelates, I don't know. Investigations revealed that large sums of money were filtered through Vatican channels, and court documents showed corrupt cardinals having direct business and social dealings with mob figures. Dun dun dun. Modern stance and reform. Since these scandals, the Vatican has taken steps to distance itself from organized crime and clean up its banking operations. This is great. Pope St. John Paul II made a famous 1993, so many years later, trip to Sicily, strongly denouncing the Mafia and demanding its members repent. Pope Francis has continued this hardline stance, declaring that mobsters are excommunicated from the church because their lifestyles blaspheme God. You know, that's just whatever, dude. Go ahead. It's just ridiculous. This is propaganda.
You're just like, I give up.
Yeah, like it's just like really. I don't even want to even rebut it. Like it's silly. Like 10 plus years after this guy dies, or 20 years or whatever, 18 years after this guy dies, now they're like, no, you guys are out of here. It's like what, bro? It's been going on for a long time. It's great.
Of course, that's the only way.
It's great to say you're doing something, but why don't you do it earlier? Like, what are we doing? Oh man.
All right. Propaganda involved in Pope death. Pope John Paul I's sudden death in 1978 is the subject of popular conspiracy theories, linking the pontiff to Propaganda do P2, an illicit far-right Italian Masonic lodge. Despite rumors alleging the Pope was poisoned to prevent him from purging Vatican financial corruption, there is no verified evidence supporting.
Yeah, because they didn't do an autopsy. Go on.
Of course. The theory and surrounding events involved several key elements. The suspected motive. Theorists
Man, that's us. We're the bad guys.
Have claimed John Paul I was preparing to replace Vatican officials tied to Masonic and financial scandals, particularly those related to the collapse of Banco Ambrosiano.
Yeah.
Propaganda do P2. P2 was a clandestine neo-fascist Italian Masonic lodge led by Licio Gelli, which included high-ranking politicians, military officials, and prominent financiers. Members were deeply intertwined with organized crime and Vatican money laundering networks. The God Banker.
That's our guy.
The conspiracy gained massive traction following the 1982 death of Roberto Calvi, the chairman of Banco Ambrosiano,
Feel bad for
an
him.
institution heavily tied to the Vatican Bank. And P2 Calvi, dubbed God's banker, was found hanged on the London
That's why I feel bad for him. He's probably an okay
Blackfriars
guy.
Bridge. They should emphasize like hang with bricks.
Like they should put that in there. Bricks and money in his pockets. Just
Under
because.
a bridge
Yeah.
that was
Under a bridge that was not easily
humanly
accessible.
like very challenging to
Yeah.
get down there.
Like honestly, to tell you the truth, you and I'd probably fall our asses before we'd have to climb back up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was fucking around, but I'm being serious. Like this guy probably did rock climbing. Like, you
He
know,
must have. Yeah, he was a skilled rock climbist.
fucking A, he was an expert.
That's it.
Official findings.
On the weekends,
Vatican
he gives
stated-
tours.
The Vatican stated that Pope John Paul I died of natural heart attack on September
course.
28, 1978, just 33 days after his election. No autopsy was performed, which fueled enduring speculations.
As it should.
The most prominent account of his conspiracy was popularized by British author David Yallop in his 1984 book, In God's Name. That's a good title for his book.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That would sell everywhere just in the name alone. And then
All
most
three
people probably
historians-
read it and be like, "Oh, this isn't what I wanted to buy."
Yeah, you tricked everybody.
Smart. It's clickbait before clickbait started.
Yep. All three historians and official investigations have widely diminished these claims as unproven.
Of course. Fucking wild. What a
It's like with the information we gave you guys, you cannot prove it.
That's it. With everything that we've told you, you can't say that this didn't happen the way that we said
That's what it is. That's fucking what it is.
That's exactly what that is. We're going to give you a detailed list here. You go, boom. All right. Good. Wait. You're asking what question? No. Did you not read the report?
That's it. There's no more.
There's nothing else, guys. That's it. You're fucked. Get out of here.
Stop looking.
That's it. Don't look over here. Look over there. Oh, man.
Oh.
What a weird fucking thing.
It's hilarious.
It really is. At the end of it, it really is just fucking hysterical. What else you wanna add for the next thing?
No, nothing.
Okay. So this here is kind of interesting. I wanted to ask, how much money does the Vatican have and secret knowledge does the Vatican have? Because a lot of people think, oh, well, they got all this cash, but they don't ask about the secret knowledge. So the good news is that Mr. Eddie is going to read the secret knowledge portion of it.
Well, yeah, like don't they have
the
like a huge
fuck?
library?
They got grimoires underneath. They can fucking spellcast and all this shit. Yeah, dude. like.
Yeah, no, like there's like the fucking most extensive like library in the world.
They 100%, and that's something that people don't think about because they do. They have all this knowledge that people don't know nothing about. They probably known about aliens forever. One, but two.
Well, here, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What if, like, during the Crusades, like all these places?
You mean the horrific event that occurred where they murdered lots and lots of people
it didn't happen.
Push their agenda?
That never happened. Okay, that one was just
oh no, I'm sorry. It didn't happen the way that I'm stating it, even though if you Google search it, it did. But whatever. Yeah, you're right.
It's like that's one thing that I always like as a
Christian / Catholic that is told that murder is against the rules of God, but yet they murdered everyone.
The thing. Like when I was going to school, in elementary school, we did see like about the Crusades.
Yeah, 100%.
Like
they teach you a little bit.
Like going because like back in the day, I was doing my first communion, and then it was like, my first communion I had to go. So let's say I went to school Monday to Friday, right?
Sure.
Saturday I had to go to like it was like study. Like I had to go
Yeah,
to
it
the
was you're
like
studying the
church.
books, and then Sunday's church day.
Yeah. And it was like learning about the Crusades, and it was like they did all these torture methods, and like the guy
Yeah,
that
they were
invented
fucking
everything.
horrific.
That it got so bad that even the guy that invented all these torture methods actually got like killed. Like, oh yeah, like you're
Yeah,
the fucking devil itself.
right.
But it's like that always messed with me. Like, okay, like
As it
I'm
should.
learning that this religion.
Is a
I'm a
peaceful,
Catholic, by the way.
loving.
Yes, like you should take care of. Like everybody should pretty much be good to each other
Mhm.
and yada yada yada. But then also this religion did all this.
Yeah. It's,
And
hey, we're loving, peaceful people, but like to murder everybody that doesn't see
it,
our way.
yeah.
That's essentially, if you wanted to boil it down to a sentence, that's the sentence. And it's like, that's the joke of it all, though, is you look at all these other religions, all of these religious wars have the same sentence. They really do. Like, take a look at it. But it's like, oh, we're loving, peaceful people. It's like, oh, didn't you just massacre like 100,000 people? It's like, yeah, we did. It's like, oh, okay. All right, all right. Well, I'm gonna turn this way now and not look at you anymore. Like,
But what I wanted to say is like, what if during that whole period of time that they were
uh,
going and forcing the religion, well, I don't know if
Gnosticism
I'm
was the
saying.
big thing that they actually got rid of in the Crusades, just as an FYI. Go ahead.
I was just like, well, I don't know if forcing is the proper way to phrase it, but
It is
um
murder, but okay.
but like what if they steal like the knowledge and books from all these
Yeah, 100%.
places
And then
that
they
they
hide it
go?
in their Vatican.
That's the you know what I mean?
Hundred
What if
percent, dude. What if? So here's you want to know the real fuck, the real fucking mind fuck. You've watched Harry Potter, correct?
actually, believe it or not, no.
Okay. So do you know of what a grimoire is?
No.
A grimoire is like a book of spells. Like that's kind of what they say, but really it's just an old leather book. Um, so who's to say? Well, one, I'm still a firm believer, which we've talked about before, that when we speak, we actually are spelling. That's why they call it spelling, right? So like, there's a reason why we do these things. But I would I would even say that the amount of knowledge and information that they have, we could be doing anything with our thoughts. Who's to say that what's the percentage we use our brain, Eddie, to, that they tell us?
Well, allegedly, what was it like? The
Five, six
maximum.
percent.
Well, the maximum that who was it? Einstein used was it like 15% or something like that?
Okay, so that means you still got 85% unused brain power, right?
Hold on, I want to fact check this.
All right, Mr. Snopes, go ahead and fact check us here. We'll get plenty of that when we put our video on YouTube. It'll tell us how factual we are.
Because I remember that was a thing that they used to say a lot.
Yeah. Do me
Einstein.
a favor, screenshot that and send it to me so that when I upload the video, I'll put your picture in there. But be quick about
Why
it,
does
though.
this?
Google's faster than
Um,
this.
yeah. So here it just says like, but it doesn't pop up in Google AI.
No, you have to go. It's weird. When you ask certain questions, you have to go into like the what people asked about it. And then it gives you the answer. It's so weird. I hate it.
Because I looked up like what is the percentage of brain usage by Albert Einstein? Because I remember like
Mm-hmm.
that was a big thing back in the day. Like, oh, Albert Einstein only used a certain percentage of his brain or whatever. And like I just see like it says like, do we use 10% of
Yeah.
our brain. Like
Yeah.
that's the first one.
Yeah.
And then it says people also ask, what is 60% of human brain? And then there's like a question by Quora.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
Quora, yeah.
it says if Albert Einstein used 10% of his brain, what percentage of normal people? So yeah, it was 10%.
Okay. So he's
That's what they
only
used to
using
say.
10%, so that means 90% vacant, right? So the question I have is within the archives, is there a way to unlock that other bit? Can we be telepaths? Can we not need to eat? Can we fly? Can we be Neo from the Matrix? And I
Well, that's
think
the
the
thing.
answer is fucking yes. I think it is.
That's the thing. Like they try saying, like I know, like I remember growing up and seeing this, like oh, 10%, 10%. Like
Yeah.
he was one of the smartest, and he only used this much. But now,
There's
like I remember, like
also some
growing
things
up.
I've heard where he wasn't really that smart, but go ahead.
I know, yeah. But also too, like they were like saying, like, well, back in the day, like us growing up, like Albert Einstein was like the epitome of like the smartest you can be.
He was the and what's funny is the people that came before him were actually more intelligent, but he was told to us as the most intelligent.
Exactly. That's what I mean. And it was like, oh, he only used this percentage. But
Yeah.
then now they try saying like, oh no, that is not true. Um, we use like that's not factual. Like we use this certain amount of like pretty much saying that we use a bigger percentage of our brain.
Okay, so let's even go with like what's your normal day compare of, right? Most
Yeah,
people,
like your daily
yeah,
activities
your
and
daily
what's the word?
activities. You wake up in the
Your
morning,
routine.
you get your coffee. That's the first thing you're thinking about is when can I have my coffee, right? You get your coffee. You're breathing, right? You're breathing and you're living. That is a small portion of the brain. You get
Hmm.
your coffee. You go, okay, when do I need to go to work? All right, so you go to work. Then, while you're at work, you're only using a small percentage of your brain to complete the tasks that you actually have to do for the day, right? So that's maybe about 5%. So if you add
And
that,
also too, yeah, you're right. Because like even like some things you already do like by muscle
yeah,
memory or like
especially after your training has been completed, it's all muscle and muscle memory essentially. It's like, especially if you're fucking at a register just ringing shit, yeah, real easy. Even if you're just sitting at a desk typing in different reports, how many times do you get a message from a customer from somebody that's like you have to actually think about? Very seldom. Most of the times auto responses. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, it'll be done on this day, or blah blah blah. You may need to actually go and find out about something, but that literally is within your like 10% capacity. So there's a whole like 90% capacity of your brain that's not being utilized. There's my question. How do we expand that, right? And there's been plenty of movies that have told us about these drugs and all this. They can get there. Like I think Lucy one of them? Isn't that the one with where her brain goes wild and then she can actually teleport and fucking transfer through time and do all that? It's actually a pretty good movie. And then Limitless was another one with drugs where it actually unlocks the rest of your brain. Where he was the same kind of thing. He didn't travel through time, I don't think, but he was able to like do all these amazing things.
yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely more that we could be doing, but I think that's because our training teaches us from the basic level, which is school, that we are supposed to show up on time, sit there, be told what's going on, go home, and then sit and watch fucking YouTube videos. Which thank you guys for watching this YouTube video, but that's that's I think like about it. Go be distracted at home until you go to sleep and wake up and go to work the next day and start your fucking day over again and use a small percentage of your brain. And after 20 plus 30 plus years of sitting doing nothing, spending none of your brain energy on nothing, guess what? It just goes vacant.
Yep.
I mean, they've trained us out of using our brain. Because that's the other thing too. That's kind of interesting. There might be something to that where you could probably be going to school to learn more things, how to actually like sit and focus on something, how to sit in meditation, how to actually like use your meridians in your hands and different things. Like there's more to it than what we've been taught and all this bullshit. After you spend 15 years sitting in a goddamn school that has taught you nothing but fake news. I'll say it like that, Eddie, in your face. Fake news about shit. Or fake stories, like his story. It's all fake, dude. Like this. Like we're reading about the Pope. Like, no, he died of a heart attack. What? You didn't even check if that was true. No, he died of a heart attack. We know it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for telling me what's happened. Ugh. Weird. It's weird stuff, Eddie. But no, we don't use more of our brain than we should. We need to use more. That's the key.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm just saying that now, like they just keep on contradicting themselves. Like they used to say one thing and now they try to switch it to a whole different thing.
Well, they always do that because they control the history. And if you control history, you can change minds, right?
Pretty much.
So like if you lived in Jimbo's world, right? So say you live in Jimbo's world and tomorrow, today I come to you and say, "Hey, honestly, 1984 everyone should read. It's a great fucking book." But say Eddie lives now in Jimbo's world and yesterday he used to get $500 stipends every month and today he gets $400 stipends. And the only issue is that if he comes to me and starts to tell me about the 500 stipends that he used to get, I'd be like, no, you never got 500. You always got 400. And then if he decides to really push me on it, guess what? He fucking dies. And then it's over. It's over now. Now, everybody else that comes to me is like, I'll take my 400. And then when it changes to 300, guess what? The people that say about 400, they don't make it.
It's a little drastic right there, James.
Is that not what happens? They put him in. Honestly, the one thing that's always amazed me is if you actually look back. I still have to try to find it, see if I can find it. But there's some fucking like bulletin. I don't know if it's real or not, but it looks like it probably was from like the 1800s, where it says like you'd be put in prison or not put in prison, but you put in an insane asylum for like reading a novel, and it's like, well, that's ridiculous. But maybe that was the case. They put everybody in an insane asylum. So Eddie would be, instead of being murdered, he'd just be put in the insane asylum. Anybody else that speaks up gets put in the same insane asylum, and then no one else will speak up after that because they don't want to go to the insane asylum.
Yeah. Who want to go to the insane asylum?
I mean, I might want to go there. It might be okay.
Well, I guess.
Dude, think about all the crazy stories you'd hear. It'd be great. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, dude.
Try to look the positive and everything. Huh?
Yeah, 100%. It'd be amazing stories until they wipe your brain clear from the fucking electroshock therapy. But yeah, so other than that, so how much money and secret knowledge does the Vatican have? The Vatican is a sovereign entity with unique financial structure and historic repositories, but popular myths often inflate both its liquid wealth, and the nature of its hidden records, because obviously there's nothing in the hidden records. Total financial wealth. The Vatican's total global asset portfolio is estimated to be around 10 billion to 15 billion, though its actual liquid wealth is much lower. That actually number kind of surprised me that Google AI would say, but yeah. The Vatican Bank, formerly known as the Institution for the Works of Religion (IOR), the bank manages roughly 5.9 billion euros, 6.3 billion US dollars in client assets. These funds primarily belong to religious orders, Catholic institutions, and clergy rather than the Pope personally. You know, it's funny actually, I was just thinking about it as I was reading it. The reason it might be inflated in our idea of it is because it was all stolen by the Branco and Bragiano and, and all these other companies that took it, and the Mafia. Like, it might actually be the case. Real estate. The administration of the patrimony of the Apostolic See, APSA, acts as the central asset manager and controls around 2.9 billion in real estate and investments, overseeing over 5,000 properties globally, such as in London, Paris, and Rome. Roughly 70% of these properties are used for church offices or employee housing, generating no rental income. It's probably bullshit too, but okay. Annual operating budget, the Holy See, which I almost feel like should say SEA, but whatever. The Holy See operates on an annual budget of roughly 1.3 billion, which is frequently prone to deficits. Okay. For scale, this budget is smaller than that of a major American university like Notre Dame, which is also ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Invaluable art. The Vatican holds priceless cultural assets, including the Sistine Chapel, the works of Michelangelo, the ancient relics, which we don't know what those relics can do. By Vatican law, these treasures are considered part of human heritage and cannot be sold or leveraged for cash. Bullshit.
Secret knowledge and the archives.
Yeah.
The idea of secret knowledge, largely from a mistranslation of the Vatican Secret Archive,
Bullshit.
which Pope Francis officially renamed to the Vatican Apostolic Archive to reduce conspiracy-driven stigma. The Latin word secretum actually translates to private or personal,
Yeah.
meaning the Pope's private state papers.
Yeah.
Physical scale. The archive contains 53 miles, 85 kilometers
Dude,
of shelving and over 12 centuries of documentation.
is that not insane? But
That
yet
is
Pope
that is
Francis thinks that
oh,
that's conspiracy driven. 53 miles.
that is wow
That's fucking huge.
of knowledge.
That's
How
like
long?
multiple cities. That's multiple
Yeah,
cities
not only
linked
that, how
together.
long? How long would it take? Like, I
To
don't think
even
a
acquire
one.
that many? Oh my god.
No, not only that, I don't think a one human being can read that much.
No, stop it. I have too many books to read that much, and I'm not even near a mile. Like, oh my god.
You know what I mean?
Oh no, I know exactly what you fucking mean. Like, there's no way that one human being or even a group of human beings going in to try to tackle it all
And also too,
together.
like, yeah, the time it took to collect this.
Dude, and the time it would take to read all of that is beyond realistic.
What is inside?
Yeah, it's
The
bullshit.
facility is filled with massive amounts of
Yeah.
bureaucratic history, diplomatic correspondence, and historical records. Notable items include records from the Trail of Galileo.
Trial of Galileo.
Trial, sorry. I don't know why I said trail.
I
The
don't know.
Papal Bull excommunicating Martin Luther, and a letter from the King Henry VIII requesting a marriage annulment.
Hmm.
The secrets held back. To protect the privacy of people who may still be living, the Vatican
Ah,
keeps a rolling 75-year embargo
it's
on its files.
such bullshit.
Scholars currently have full access to documents up to the end of Pope Pius 12's papacy, October
Dude,
1958.
1958.
The unreleased newer documents contain modern geopolitical maneuvers,
Mm-hmm.
financial data, and sensitive internal church communications regarding administrative scandals.
Huh.
If you would like to explore deeper, let me know. If you want to look up into financial reforms implemented by Pope Francis or the specific requirements scholars need to enter and
Mm-hmm.
research within the historical archives.
I'm glad you read need the way that you did because yes, the scholars need to be approved before they can even go anywhere near the fucking archives. It's like therein lies your biggest problem. It is secret knowledge being held against away from the people. Put it on the goddamn internet. Let the people see it.
There's got
Wild.
to be so much stuff.
Dude, I couldn't even imagine. And because they got a 75-year embargo on the whole thing, so they're not letting anybody see it. That's the same thing like the stupid clowns that pushed us in 2020. They had 75 years before any of that shit would be released, so they requested. All these people, I don't understand what it is, but like 75 years seems to be the go-to for how many years are needed. I think it's because they expect most people to die in between then. But like they don't release anything for 75 years. That's what seems to be like the number. I don't know. It's fucking weird, man. Fucking super weird. But anything else you want to add for the next thing then?
No.
Okay. So we do want to thank you. Thank you very much for watching. This one's kind of weird, right? This was kind
Yeah,
of.
no, it was just like this one is like I don't know how to say it. Like it was like very mindfuck moment after mindfuck.
It kind of was. Yeah, the Iran-Contra one was a mindfuck in itself, and then going deeper into the Pope one was a little bit of a mindfuck too. And it's like, and we only grazed the surface here. Like, there's a lot more to go into for these guys. It's fucking wild. Ah.
Also, the thing that like kind of like messed with me a little bit more is like okay, like it went very public, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
The
But to
obviously
no avail, right?
yeah, and like also too like okay, like obviously there was all these people involved, and really like the first one, like really just one person got convicted, like
I
just
love
one.
that for 16 months.
When we kept on like reading like like there was like full blown countries involved,
Yeah.
and like really just one person. Like we were just reading like that. Um,
You couldn't take
there's
out any of these weapons dealers?
there's
CIA? Are you
there's
fucking
like drug lords
kidding?
involved,
Oh
and
my god. Oh man.
it's wild, 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 wild.
It's the fucking Wild West, man. It really is. And in late 1980s. Like what the fuck?
Yeah, yeah.
Ah. It's so fucking weird. The whole thing is so fucking weird. Both of them are so fucking weird. Everything is so fucking
And
weird.
like you know what? Like both of them like were like kind of like related in some sort of aspect of
Yeah.
like Here, this is what we told you guys, and just believe us.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Trust us. Trust us.
That's
This is what happened.
well, that's the exact same. That's the story of it's his story. It's history, but it's his story. It's like, yeah,
like,
this is what we're
like,
gonna tell you, and you're gonna fucking believe it. And if you
yeah,
don't
like,
believe it, then one, you're not gonna get accredited if you're at a school, right? So if you go against a school and you say that it's not this way, you're not gonna get your diploma. Guess what? Now you're not going to get that job. Now you just wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to this fucking school for 4 years. And then if you want to talk out against this, guess what? You're not going to be welcome to the fucking Vatican archives because you're not agreeing with what we told you what it is.
it's like the whole thing. Like, oh yeah, he had a heart attack. We didn't do an
Dude.
autopsy,
Yeah, I
but
love that.
he died from a heart attack.
I,
Trust. We know. When somebody dies from a heart
that
attack.
is my favorite thing. That is literally my favorite thing. Is that
Uh,
this guy died of a heart attack? It's like, oh, okay. What, any research or any like exploration of that? No. Okay. So he died of a heart attack. Yeah, he had swollen feet. Oh,
we knew he had certain he had
somebody
certain
told
problems.
us. Somebody told us a couple days ago that he was having chest pains, but he didn't want a doctor. So yeah, he had a heart attack. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
That explains a lot.
That you fucking nailed it on the head, bro. Oh my god.
Oh god.
It's so fucking weird. It really is. Man. Again, the only thing I learned out of this whole thing though, besides the fact that everything is so fucked, is literally to get a cute female assistant so that way if she's ever interrogated, I might be able to get out of it. Because they won't make her cry, Eddie. That's why. Other than that, I don't, I don't see anything else. Like, the whole thing is so fucked. Honestly, I would say, please take a look. You will see more. Like, there's. Even if you just watch the videos that I've got in our list, you'll learn a little bit more as far as, like, a little more weirder stuff that I don't want to kind of extend too far on. And other things, other angles to start taking a look at because there was a lot more going on with Iran-Contra. Take a look at Barry Seals, and then take a look at like what he was involved in because that's a whole nother thing. I think Arkansas is involved in that. Um, but then with this 33-day Pope thing, the propaganda due, like I said, I wanted to limit that because we're gonna have a whole fucking chapter about that. Which is weird that we talked about Roberto Calvi, we talked about the 33-day Pope, and we're also going to talk about propaganda due, which means that like Calvi and the Pope are pretty closely linked together. Due might be more than that, but it's another secret society, so it's going to be one of those weird ones. You know what I mean? Which, how much info do we really get from the secret societies except for Jay
Mm-hmm.
Z and his Illuminati bullshit?
You really don't like JC. Like you bring him
I,
up a lot.
Because he's the one that keeps putting it out in our face, Eddie. He's literally the one who keeps popping it in our face. Um, what what is his label named?
I don't know.
Is it not Rockefeller?
I think it is, but let me just double check.
So let me just throw this in your face, Mr. Eddie. Rockefeller, and he does the all-seeing eye pyramid.
He actually has a bunch of labels.
Of course he does.
He has Rock Nation. He has Rockefeller Records.
Uh,
I think now he's probably owner of Def Jam Records.
probably he's worth over $1 billion.
Well, it's just I would just look up like Jay-Z label
Hmm.
as Rock Nation, Rockefeller, Def Jam, Universal Music Group, Atlantic Records, or Arista Records, The Island Def Jam Music, Priority Records, FFRR Records, and Payday Records. The fuck?
Oh, who owns Jay-Z?
Uh, like
I
that,
don't
that
think Google's
that
gonna tell you that.
that sounds very like I don't even know how to say that.
I don't think they're gonna tell you that.
No, so here,
Oh, you were going with the fucking slave thing. No, get out of here. No, I'm talking
I never said
about.
that. I never said. Yeah, I didn't say anything.
No,
Also,
I'm
here,
just meaning like because
uh,
everything is a
it went
conglomerate.
through phases.
Uh-huh.
So he was at Def Jam Records. He was a president and CEO from 2004 to 2007. Then the Rockefeller Records. He was a co-founder.
Oh, who funded it
Um,
with him?
Dame
Was it
Dash
David
and Kareem.
Rockefeller?
No, it says Dame Dash and Kareem Biggs Berkey.
Okay, who gave them their
Um,
money to fund into it?
who
There,
knows?
that's the issue. Is that when we start to like look into who owns what and who gives cash and who does what, it's like,
But I'm just like right now that I'm seeing like who's on. He has so much money
yeah,
because it says like Def Jam Records, like it says major signing Rihanna and Neo.
mm-hmm,
Rihanna's a billionaire,
yeah. I thought
like
she was
herself is a
killed.
billionaire.
She wasn't killed.
No, no,
Who's the
that's
other?
all I would.
Okay, go on.
And like Rockefeller Records, Kanye West was signed to that. At one point, Kanye West was a billionaire.
Yeah, until he started getting weird and talking about shit, but he's still got the same like Freemasonry symbolism where he does the.
Oh yeah,
So like he's a part of the group. So even if
and
he's telling
now
you like, "Oh, I'm telling you the truth," be careful, guys. You might not be telling you the truth.
and then like the Rock Nation is the most recent one. So pretty much he just probably like I don't know. This is kind of weird that he has like three different record label. Oh, because of Rock Nation, he's the founder. So he
Hmm.
probably just like was like um creating another record label, then eating the previous record label. So he just like
Stole everything from that and added
climbed
it to the next
everything to the
thing.
top. I don't know,
Yeah.
probably. That's the
Well,
theory.
that's kind of how corporations work, isn't it?
Like he just I would assume he just absorbed like the ones that he had before
Exactly, like a corporation.
because like for example the Rockefeller, it says he was only a co-founder,
Hmm.
and Def Jam he was CEO or president, like he was not the head honcho pretty much.
Okay.
And Rock Nation he's just like legit role founder.
Hmm.
And it's like pretty much it's a company, features music label, talent management, publishing, and sports agency. What the fuck?
Oh, good for him.
And it says like major artist Rihanna. So
Ah.
he like yeah, it was safe to say he's very well off, I guess.
No, he's doing okay. He's doing okay. Him and Beyonce will be all right. Don't worry about them. They've got
They'll be
more than enough
fine.
fucking money to last for any of our lifetimes and beyond.
Oh yeah, that's what do you call it? Generational wealth.
I would say multi generational wealth, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah. Of course.
Like, honestly, if any regular human being gets $1 billion, you and the next probably 10 offsprings without even working or doing anything would be fine.
I think you can blow $1 billion if you really want to quick.
You could blow, I mean, you could, yeah, sure. You can call up Elon and be like, hey, we're going to go on your next stupid mission to fly into fucking not space. And he'd be like, "Ooh, how much you want to spend?" Be like, 100 million. And be like, "Come on, we'll go tomorrow." Like, call SpaceX and don't even leave fucking space. Don't even leave the Earth, but you pay 10 million.
Nah,
Uh,
but yeah, you're right. $1 billion is it's you can
it
find a means to go
it
through it. Yes,
if
but I
you're
think it's just
smart with fucking
oh
like $20 million, you in
well, yeah.
10 generations would be fine.
They say that like for you to like just be okay and set for like for a long time is like 50 million.
Dude, if you
That's
had
like when you're like
$50 million, like you can literally have yachts. If
yes,
if
no,
you
and
have
more like
$10 million, you can have a couple of houses and generational wealth for the next 5 to 10 years, or no, 5 to 10 like generations. Like you could still make that work with even $10 million. The joke that I see with all these fucking like trillionaires and multi ultra billionaires, it's like you don't need that much fucking money. No one does.
no,
like
no.
like why do you need $1 trillion for who and what are you doing? And then the other question is, are you helping anybody? And the answer is no. Like we're not. Like look at the
No,
bankers.
I think it just gets to a point where like that at that point it's just a game. Like
It's I'm better
who
than
has
Steve because I have 1.5 billion more than Steve.
yeah, it's just like a numbers game at that point.
Yeah,
Like it's just like
keeping up with the
yeah.
Joneses. Bullshit.
I just
Unbelievable.
think it just becomes a power game at that point.
Absolutely. That's literally when you look at these CEO earnings and the CEO bonuses and this kind of bullshit. It's like, uh, and then the joke is, well, okay, so this guy, the CEO of this, makes $500 million a year, right? Okay, let's just throw that number out there. It's like, okay, great. What does his least employee make? And it's like, oh, well, he makes like $18,000 a year. It's like, wait a minute. so, so you're gonna pay your least employee at all, right? 18 grand a year, full time, and you make over 500 million, and that's not even including your bonuses. That's a big swing. Like I still think there should be a difference there. Like I don't think that anybody should be making that much money. Really, I don't. I don't want to sound socialist, but technically, like, what do you need to make that much fucking money for? Keep up with the Joneses while your fucking employees starve. It's like okay, and then especially if you didn't make the company. That's the thing that annoys me the most is like this guy just comes in for like a year or two, comes in, makes $500 million and then fucking dips in a couple of years. It's like, no, stop it. If you made the company and you made it great and then you're making billions of dollars, okay, all the fucking power to you, man. You fucking did it. You did a good job. Man or female, I don't mean to be say man just like that, but like you did a good fucking job. You did it. You fucking made it happen. Your employees are happy. You're making money. Good for you. Enjoy your billions. The scumbags that just come into a publicly traded company and make that amount of money to just be a figurehead for a couple of years and then fucking dip, and that's not worth it. Pay your fucking employees.
Yeah.
You know? Like that's the bullshit. It really is. Ah, it's annoying. But I am a capitalist to a point. The issue with capitalism though is that we deal with crony capitalism, whereas it's like even look at SpaceX. How much money does SpaceX get from our government, from our taxpayer dollars? A lot of money. Don't invest in that IPO, guys. Do not. They will steal your money. So no, honestly, the gap there is ridiculous. It needs to be stopped. I think that the regular people should get more cash. I do. Because before their jobs are all replaced with AI. That's literally where we're going.
Pretty much.
Ah,
Like they'll find a way.
to replace everything?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's our dude, tell me how many boardroom meetings they've had that have already talked about, oh well hey, it costs. So the joke of the whole thing is right now is that a lot of these AI programs to take over these people's jobs currently cost more. So that's why
Yes.
everyone hasn't
Yes.
switched over. But within the next couple of years, it won't cost more because they'll realize that they can't ask for that same amount. So they'll have to reduce their pricing to where then it will replace all of our jobs. And then everything will just be, you know how annoyed you get when you call customer service and you talk to a goddamn robot. You used to bitch about it being in India, but it's no longer in India. Now it's just a robot. And it's like,
Hmm.
I'd
And also
rather
too, like,
talk to Steve from India, who isn't really named Steve, but like I'd rather talk to him because I might be able to get somewhere with my customer service problem.
but also too, the other thing is like, AI doesn't need to take breaks. It can be a 24/7 service.
100%.
Like it's just like
No vacations,
if
no sick time.
yes, if they know, not only that, no benefits, yada
No?
yada
Yeah, it
yada.
doesn't need fucking insurance at all.
And then if you go more in deeper in like social security, like it's
Hmm.
just like
Yeah.
it just goes on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah. And also the other thing you're not thinking about too is because it actually takes an accountant for the company you work for to actually factor in your what you need to pay to the what you need to pay to insurance, what you need to pay to the taxes, what you need to pay for this, what you need to pay for this. So this literally doesn't cost anything. So you can get rid of accountants too, to a point, or at least the amount of accountants that you had, especially in a big corporation. Now you can have maybe one dude, or another AI bot. You'll have the AI bot just controlling your revenue, income and outcome, or input output, whatever the case. So your revenue will be controlled by an AI, your customer service will be controlled by an AI, your that here's the issue with all of it though, is that they still can't figure out. That's just like I've heard this a long time ago, which was the archons. You ever heard of that? The archons, they're like the evil overlords kind of thing. But all that they
Yeah.
okay, so I've watched a ton of documentaries. So the archons can only replicate and duplicate. So the only thing is for us to take a step forward, it takes like human ingenuity. Like it takes a human to think about something and try to like push forward.
Yeah, of course. Like
Whereas a robot will not. A robot will stay in its box and it will just be the same shit over and over and over and over again. It will
and
not
that's
be
the thing
anything
that
new.
a machine would never be. Well, talking about myself, but like even in movies or whatever, it
Hmm.
always says it like a machine cannot duplicate like a human nature, or like a human thinking,
Yeah, or a
uh
response.
or response. Yes, correct. Like intuity, like intuition, sorry,
Yeah,
or like gut feelings, or
yeah,
like sometimes like there's things that if you really think about it like mathematically, like the odds are greater than the risk, or like
yeah.
and sometimes a human decides to go forward with it not thinking of those odds, and sometimes he beats the odds,
Hundred
you
percent.
know.
Yeah, if it's a
And like
90 to 10 odds that it's gonna be a failure, but yet guess what? Because this human made the decision at this time, that 10% became 90%, and boom, it happened.
yeah, exactly, or like so a machine will never take that risk.
Yeah. No, they
So
wouldn't.
exactly, because once it goes to that, like will refuse to go with it. So
Yeah. So we stay in stagnation. So we don't actually progress as a human being
mhm.
because we're listening to our AI overlords and our robot masters. Skynet, baby. 2027.
Oh god.
It's
But I
fucking wild.
guess after going on that big tangent,
Dude, we tangented out there for sure.
um, well, thank you for watching.
Yeah, it's my
I,
guy.
I really think this is an interesting one.
Dude, oh shit.
Actually,
Before you add, hey,
I
what?
do want to say I do go up a point. Like I
That's
do.
what I was
Like
about to mention. You're going
because this one I
9.7?
no, 0.1.
Whoa,
Yeah, no, I
rude.
can't go up that high. What the-
Whoa. I told you we're going up to threat level midnight.
Nah, but still, like this one, like it was a very interesting one. Like
This
I
really
had a lot of fun
was.
with it.
This one
Like I
was.
didn't expect that much from it,
I didn't
like I
either.
just thought like it was
Even.
like, oh, it's okay.
I
But
honestly am with you on that because I made these clips and I made all this shit and I didn't even expect us to go into where we went. So I'm excited myself. So I even jumped a point.
like it was just like yeah, just reading all into it. I think it's just like probably the thing I think would happen when you were doing it, it was just you were just reading it to yourself.
Hmm.
But like I was reading it out loud, like it just it just
It
made everything.
helps hearing it from a second party. It really
Yes.
does. It really does. And yeah, what? Because I know for a fact that I read through like what you read, and I was like, yeah, okay, okay, yeah. But then when I heard you read it, I'm like, these motherfuckers. Like, it hits harder. It really does. That's why I
It
am
does.
glad that we're doing this, man, because it explores deeper, and it really does have
It
an
always
just
feel like getting a second opinion and like just
does.
having another take on it. It's always fun.
Plus, the other thing too I love is when I'm reading something, I hear you start to giggle about something. I go, "Oh yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, yeah, these guys are fucked." Like that's what happens, man. It does. Ah, it's wild. It's wild. But yeah, so I think we're about at the final now. So Eddie, again, I know you started to and I cut you off. So thank the people one more time.
Yeah, no, thank you for listening, watching. It's just I think it was a very fun one.
This really was. It really was. It was great. So yeah, thank you guys. We love you guys. We appreciate you watching so much. We hope you have a great rest of the day and take care.
Peace.